Ken Curry Battle, and certainly to myself. We thank God for him. Like Elijah gave to Elisha, he always gave us a double portion. He gave us a great introduction to a wonderful faith in Jesus Christ, but then he also gave us a great name. And that great name is, of course, why we celebrate at this wonderful reunion every year. Some of you know of his baseball career within the Negro League with the Kansas City Monarchs, and then the Satchel Paige All-Stars, and certainly with the Brooklyn Dodger organization. However, I suggest he's most known as a wonderful preacher, legendary preacher, known as the Dean of Preachers across this nation. He has left an indelible impression upon so many around the world. You can pull him up, search him on YouTube, and be blessed by his preaching ministry. Still at 96 years old, the Lord is blessing him to continue to keep just a wonderful schedule, and we thank the Lord for that. I'll leave you with this in terms of the indelible impression he's had upon so many all over the world. 1988, a young man sought him out, tracked him down, came to visit him unannounced, uninvited. They spoke for 2.5 hours. At the end of the conversation, he told the young man, "You should enter politics." The young man said, "I have no interest in politics. I just want to be a community organizer." He ended the conversation by telling the young man, "You can become president of the United States of America." Perhaps you all heard of that young man some years later. He's none other than President Barack Hussein Obama. And so that's just an example of many of the indelible impression he's had upon the faith community and the world at large. And so again, it's a joy, honor, and delight to present my father and to introduce Reverend Dr. Lacey Curry. Thank you.
Thank you, son.
Thank you.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Thank you, son. Of course, I didn't expect you to say anything bad about me. Anyway, and I thank you for introducing me. Maybe I can live up to some of it one of these days. Now, I've been asked by the Jan Kearney King and the director to say
you accidentally muted. Can you unmute yourself? Can someone unmute Reverend Curry?
Can you hear me, babe?
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. All right. It is with great joy and honor that I greet you today and join with you in celebrating our blessings of life into this Curry and Kearney family. We cannot thank God enough for all that family means in our lives. And I believe that the role of the church historically and presently cannot be overlooked in our journey from Magnolia, Arkansas, or McKinney, or thereabouts, to around this present human world as we know it now. Some of the Kearney family have practiced law over in Germany and in other nations of the world. God has truly blessed our families. When we reflect upon those who donated the land upon which the first church group organized, the Macedonia Church, we realize that our roots have been in the church of the living God. The problem of the world today, as I see it, is the difference of the choice of right and wrong, truth and falsehood, law and order, and basically sin and righteousness. And while kingdoms and governments may rise and fall, it all depends upon godly principles. When you read the scattered history of our families, you discern a string of people who were dedicated to the ideas of justice and social reforms, social services, and all of the avenues of sharing with others. I thank God today and every day for being led and taught and influenced by the basic tenets of the Christian church in our lives. From those who have worked on farms and been neighbors to slaves, to those who have worked in the White House and the policies of government, the morals and ethics have kept us. Our family reunion, a blessing that the Lord has kept for us, even though we didn't know it, says one of the gospel songs. We may be encouraged now and inspiration to one another as we go from year to year, always abounding in the work of the Lord, that his name may be glorified in our lives. Thank God for the church that keeps hope alive, as Reverend Jesse Jackson says. And I remember one of the poems learned in school, tell me not in mournful numbers, life is but an empty dream, and the soul is dead that slumbers, and things are not what they seem. Life is real, life is earnest, and the grave is not its goal. Dust thou art, to dust returneth, was not spoken of the soul. In the world's broad field of battle, in the bivouacs of life, be not like dumb driven cattle, be a hero in the strife. The church has been our refuge in ages past, and I believe it is our hope for years to come. Our shelter from the moon. May God continue to bless you all. Keep the faith and keep hope alive. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you. Virtual claps. For those of you who are familiar with Zoom, there's a reactions bar at the bottom. If you want to click on that, you can give someone applause. You can give them a thumbs up. You can send them love. We're sending love to everyone today. This is fabulous. We have 77 participants in this room. So again, feel free to use those features as you see fit. With that, I'm going to turn it over to the Honorable John Kearney to introduce Reverend Ernest Moore of the Historical Macedonia Baptist Church.
Good evening, everyone. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes.
I have the honor of introducing our next presenter, Reverend Ernest Moore. Ernest Moore is a native of Hampton, Arkansas, and graduated from Hampton High School in 1983. After earning a basketball scholarship to Southern Arkansas University and taking some time off from his studies, he obtained his Bachelor of Arts degree from that institution in 2017. He accepted the call to the ministry in 1999 and was licensed and ordained in the ministry in the year 2000. He became associate pastor of Mount Zion Missionary Baptist Church in Magnolia, Arkansas in 2006. In December of 2011, Reverend Moore was named pastor of Macedonia Baptist Church, where he continues to faithfully serve today. In addition to Reverend Moore's pastoral duties, he serves as General Director for the Columbia County District Christian Association, member of the National Baptist Convention, Baptist Ministerial Alliance, and Congress of Christian Education. He and his wife, Essie McDaniel Moore, have been married for 31 years and are the parents of 3 children. They are foster parents of 2 children, and they have 1 grandchild. I am humbled that my great-grandfather, Ned Curry, was the leading founder of Macedonia Church in 1865, where Reverend Moore pastors. Please welcome Reverend Ernest Moore.
Good evening. Can y'all hear me?
Very
Can
well.
y'all hear me? All right.
Yes, sir.
First of all, thank you for that wonderful introduction. I am very honored to be part of this program. I want to thank the committee for doing such a wonderful job. Ms. Jane for having me on to be part of this family gathering. I bring you greetings from the Macedonia Missionary Baptist Church, where your family is caretakers and helpful in ministry of the church. I want to appreciate that. I feel privileged to come behind Dr. Lacey Curry, amen, for his accolades and time that God had blessed him to be here. I feel privileged. My prayer is I hope that I get a chance to meet that young man one day. My hope is that as I bring you some information pertaining to God's word and reading the information and book, my prayer is that it will be helpful to this family in this day and time to come, because y'all have proven through God's grace that this Kearney Curry family is already blessed. So what I want to do is bring you a historical overview of what God gave me for this family that will be helpful, hopefully today and in the near future. I went to the Bible, to Ephesians chapter 3, verses 14 through 20. And I want to use for a topic for this family, being a blessed family. It is very helpful that what God gave me for this family, my prayer is that I use it in my family also. In Ephesians, Paul is talking to the church at Ephesus, and he finds himself in a very honorable position to explain to them what he thinks of and how he feels about the position that he's in. He starts off by saying, "For this cause I bow my knees unto the Father, our Lord Jesus Christ." This family has proven through time that y'all don't mind praying. And my hope is that you stay prayerful unto God, because he's able to help you through any and all situations. In verse 15, it says, "Of whom the whole family in heaven and earth is named." Clearly, this family down through the years have been proven by the test of time that God is with you. And my prayer is that as you encourage those around you, family, non-family, people that you run across in this world, they understand that your family is blessed. In verse 16, it said that he would grant you according to the riches of his glory. At first, I thought it was talking about financially, but he's not. Y'all have proven through time that hope, faith, knowledge, the Spirit of God is with you. My prayer is that not only that you have that knowledge, keep that knowledge, that those around you obtain that knowledge too, so they can further on in the family history. In the second part of that verse, it said to be strengthened with the might of the Holy Spirit of the inner man. My hope is that everyone that is here today is saved, that has the knowledge of God and who he is, and Jesus Christ, our Savior, and the Holy Spirit, our God. And my prayer is that that inner man is leading you and guiding you as you travel through this time in this world. Verse 17 says that Christ may dwell in your hearts by faith, that you be granted the hope and peace, love and knowledge. There's three things I want to say out of that passage that this family have, after reading the book and listening to y'all talk, and not only that, the courtesy that you extended to my family to take someone you really don't know and you're gonna bring them out and sit down with you. Y'all just don't know how much trouble y'all gonna be in, all the chicken y'all gonna be out of. But God has a word for you to hopefully to help this family. First one is in verse 18, it said, may you be able to comprehend with all saints that is breadth, length, depth, and height. Family, love your family. Love God. Love him unconditionally. That when things come your way, no matter if they be good or bad, that God will be with you. Clearly, he has not left you or forsaken you in a time of pandemic and things that have been traveling through your life. So my prayer is that God stay with you. But in verse 19, it says, and to know the love of Christ, which passes knowledge, that you may fill with all the fullness of God. I wrote down on here, I said, I pray that the love of God in your family be passed on to future family members so that they can witness the fullness of God. After listening to y'all, being with me, a couple of family members at the church, y'all have inspired me to the fact of where this family has established the church. I'm honored and privileged to be where I am today. Thank God for his decision. But I leave you with the Kearney Kingdom family with a few words of good, steadfast, forward words that will hopefully be helpful in the principle and guidelines in this family to come. In verse 20, I close this out by saying, reading the scripture, now unto him that is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we ask or think, according to the power that worketh in us. Unto him be glory in the church by Christ Jesus throughout all ages, without end. I close by saying, we thank God for what he's done. We thank God for Jesus. We thank God for his death, his burial, his resurrection. But we also thank God for this family. Y'all have my prayers, my blessings. If there's anything that I can do in the future, please let me know. And I'll be honored to be helpful in this family in any kind of way that I can. Thank you for the time, and you have my prayers and my blessing. God bless you.
Thank you, Reverend Moore. I believe we got Kenya back. Kenya, if you're there and are ready to do that song, we are anxiously awaiting. I heard she was back in. I see your name, Kenya. All right, we're going to move on. I do want to point out, thank you to Alice, who put a request in the chat for folks to state where they are in their church home if they're outside of Arkansas. So if you want to throw that information in the chat, I've seen a few responses coming through, and that's wonderful. Please feel free to continue sharing that information so we can know where each of our loved ones is worshiping. With that, I'm going to move into the panel.
Are you able to hear me? This is Kenya.
Kenya, there she is. Yes, Kenya, are you going to grace us with a song today?
Yes. I am sorry about my technical difficulties.
Go right ahead. We are anxiously awaiting.
Tell me how to love myself, recognize my value, my internal worth. Now I see my potential the way you do, and I am grateful to you. You've been my sunshine in the midst of rain. You taught me to smile in the face of pain. You're the only consistent when everything else has changed. And I am grateful to you. I am grateful for the price you paid. I am grateful that you always stay. I am grateful for the things you do. I am grateful to you. Thank you for provision and every way you made. You meet all my needs. I see your hand displayed. Protecting me from danger, even when I'm unaware. I know you're walking right beside me, yes, you're always there. I am grateful for the price you paid. I am grateful that you always stay. I am grateful for the things you do. I am grateful to you. I am grateful for the price you paid. I am grateful that you always stay. I am grateful for all the things that you do. And I am grateful to you, to you. I am grateful to you. Thank you all.
Thank you, Kenya.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Kenya.
All right. I love it. I'm seeing the icons. We're seeing the virtual clapping. What a beautiful song. What a great way to transition to our next part of the program. We're going to move up. We're going to move into the medical panel now. And I'm going to turn it over to the moderator for that, who is Dr. Matthew T. King. He's going to manage our medical panel as we hear about the positive contributions that our family members have made to their respective communities. So, Dr. King, please take it away.
Good afternoon, family. First of all, let me just say it's wonderful to see everyone. Even though I can't see you all at the same time, but just knowing that you're here and with us is really, really fantastic. It's not the family reunion we wanted, but it's what we have. And God willing, we'll get back to normal for 2022. So with that being said, we'll get things underway. We're here today to recognize some of our family that have achieved some experience, both experience and work in the medical field. And so we want to first of all recognize them and ask them to share some of their expertise with us today that may benefit not only our family, but maybe our communities. So I'm going to moderate. Actually, I'm just really just playing a role here, but we're gonna hear from them and definitely look forward to what they have to say and bring us this afternoon. So first off, we're going to have Dr. Jennifer Manley, neuropsychologist.
Thank you.
You there?
I'm here. Are you ready?
Yes, absolutely. Dr.
Okay. Well, greetings to all of you from New York City. And I'm really just tremendously honored to speak to you today. I want to take just a few minutes to introduce myself to you and to talk to you about my contributions so far. I am the great-great-granddaughter of Ned and Scylla Curry, the great-granddaughter of Maddie Curry Manley and Huey Manley, the granddaughter of PJ and Amanda Wade Manley, and the daughter of James H. and Myrna Tejas Manley. I have 3 children. The oldest is entering his sophomore year at Northeastern University in Boston. And I have 8-year-old twin boys who are entering the 3rd grade. I'm the daughter of a test pilot and a math teacher. And while growing up, it was clear to me that schooling and education was a most important pursuit. And while independence and independent thought and discovery were a critical part of that, I should always use this to help and protect others who may not have had the opportunities that my brother Paul and I had. I entered college at UC Berkeley with the intention of being a physician, but when I took a psychology elective class, I realized that my true interest and passion was the intersection between brain and behavior. I interviewed for a graduate school program, to get my PhD in clinical psychology at UC San Diego, not really knowing what neuropsychology was. And despite an asthma attack that sent me to the ER the night before my interview, I was accepted to that program. At the time that I went to grad school in the early 90s, the epidemic ravaging the country at that time was HIV. And my mentors at UC San Diego were working to discover what the impact or what the effects of HIV were on the brain. As the epidemic of HIV began to spread to Black and Latino communities and also to women here in the United States, the mentors that I worked with started to engage these communities in this research. And the focus of my dissertation became the accuracy of the neuropsychological tests that we give to measure abilities in memory, language, executive function, and spatial function, and to work on the hope that those tests would have equivalent validity and accuracy across cultural, language, and educational groups. After I joined Columbia University here in New York as a faculty member, I continued to work to increase the accuracy of these measures of cognitive function among older Black and Latino residents of Washington Heights, which is a diverse neighborhood in northern Manhattan, with high rates of Alzheimer's disease and other causes of dementia. The goal of this research is to allow all of us to live as much of our lives free of cognitive impairment with the healthiest brain as possible. When I first came to New York, I was able to collaborate with a number of older residents of Black Harlem, and through them, I began to understand their life story. Most had moved from New York City through the Great Migration from North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia to seek jobs and escape Jim Crow. And most had attended rural one-room schools in the segregated South. And through these community partnerships, I started to understand the link between education and brain health as we get older. My research team has found that later life dementia risk and cognitive decline are influenced by early life educational policies in the places where people went to school. This work suggests that investment in schools that serve Black and Latino children would narrow inequalities in dementia. This is the main focus of my work, and last month I was asked to testify in front of the Senate Committee on Aging, where I discussed this research. The main contribution that I feel that I've made to the field is mentorship. I've mentored probably about 100 now, postdoctoral fellows, medical students, graduate students, and undergraduates, and high school students, most of whom are from racial and ethnic groups who've been underrepresented in science. The proudest career achievement that I've made so far has been my award of 2 mentorship awards. In addition to this and the contribution that I've made to scientific knowledge, my research grants have brought $79 million to support this community-based research in the neighborhoods of Northern Manhattan and Harlem. I've hired teams who are members of the community, provided direct cash reimbursement for the time that our participants spend with us, getting interviews, providing blood samples, and getting brain scans. We were able to hire a social worker who connects participants with medical care and social services in the neighborhood, who's bilingual. And so finally, I just want to end by thanking my family and my ancestors for paving the way for this work. Seeing all of you tonight, despite the ravages of the pandemic, I can see that as a family and as a community, we've come too far to lose hope. And I'm here to continue the fight for justice. My particular fight is for brain health justice for those who come after me. Thank you.
Wow, that was outstanding. Thank you so much, Dr. Manley. Your contributions are well noted. I think, you know, at the end of the day, we spend a lot of time addressing issues of our organs, but when it comes to the mind and the brain, everyone, particularly in the African-American community, is a little hesitant to admit that there could be a problem. So definitely appreciate your contributions there. And next up, we have Kenya Kearney Kidd, physician assistant. Kenya, you there and ready to go?
I am here. Can you all hear me this time?
We can.
Good, good. I'm so happy to be with everyone for this reunion and this strange and exciting time as we learn to use our electronics. As you see, I was having difficulty with this earlier. I am a descendant of the Luther Curry line, the granddaughter of James and Ethel Kearney, and the daughter of Julius and Lydia Kearney. And I have been a physician assistant for the past 21 years. And I am truly enjoying the work that I do as a clinician. I think that in our community, there are so many roadblocks to getting good care and to taking good care of our cells. Most of my career has been in oncology and helping to care for cancer patients, but I've been in some other arenas too, and I see the same things in all of the arenas, that we just don't have the adequate access, adequate socioeconomics that are causing us to have such a poor health than our European American cohorts. And I think that there are some really simple things that we can take part in at this time, especially now that we've been through the pandemic and we've seen how crucial it is to take care of ourselves. There are some steps we can take for what I'm calling self-love to try to boost our own health. And starts off with social distancing. I know we're all so tired of the social distancing that's been enforced on us, and the reason that we're having this meeting virtually right now. But I think that it's still a imperative for us to get our vaccines and to, if we're not sure of our friends and family having been vaccinated, that we, still take our distance and protect ourselves. It's still important for us to be really mindful of washing our hands and wearing our masks. Even those of us who've gotten vaccinated right now, we haven't gotten a clear go ahead for going ahead and taking those masks off and not washing our hands as vigorously until we get the numbers up with vaccinating. I think we should all just keep our heads down and do it a bit longer. For our general health, pandemic or no pandemic, we all need to be making sure that we're taking all of our medications and supplements as they are prescribed. We want to remember to stay physically active. My parents have stories of walking, 20 miles to school round trip that I've heard a lot about. And so it was kind of built into their lifestyle to get this physical activity in. On our end today with, all of our cars and trucks and bikes, we don't have the need, the requirement to be physically active, but we've got to find somewhere to fit it in. Next, I want to be reminding everybody to get their rest, to sleep. The body needs time to really re-energize and let our brain have some downtime. Next is choosing healthy food and portion sizes. On the Kearney side of things, we love some big portions, and we love some rich food. And we're not saying that we can't have those things, but we want to have them in some moderation and to really try to keep ourselves at a healthy weight, which is easier said than done. But I think that we can do it. We're a smart enough crew to figure it out. Next, I want everyone getting their fluids in. We should be drinking a minimum of 8 to 10 cups of fluid, most of those being water, and doing even more if we're breaking a sweat and getting our exercise on. Next, I want to encourage everyone to be exercising your mind. My grandmother would say an idle mind is the devil's workshop. We can be engaging with our family and friends with lots of discussion, reading, doing more, puzzles and word finds and hobbies than watching TV. And then finally, I want to encourage everyone to take care of themselves emotionally, especially during the pandemic. We've seen people being isolated, and I want to encourage everyone to reach out to talk to your family and friends again, to stay connected. Even though we're still needing some social distancing, we can participate in, a lot of things with phone and email and FaceTime and Zoom. We can write letters the old-fashioned way. We can participate in some online Bible clubs, book clubs, movie clubs, just things to stay connected with each other. And with that, I want to say I love you, and I'm enjoying this reunion.
Kenya, thank you so much. That was some fantastic information. Definitely some information we can all use. I think most of it we can adhere to. Of course, when it comes to food and portion sizes, I think the Kearney family can forget that. We're going to have to depend on the exercise and other things that that will help keep us around. But certainly, thank you for those good words of encouragement and words of wisdom regarding our health, not only our physical health, but our mental health, our emotional health. All of these things tying together very much for each and every one of our livelihoods. So definitely appreciate those good and encouraging and strong words. Next up, we have Dr. Keisha Moorhead, family dentist. Dr. Moorhead, you there?
I am. Can you hear me okay?
Absolutely.
Perfect. Well, all honor to God, who is the head of my life and has allowed me to be here today. Thank you all for inviting me, and I'm very honored to be in all of you all's presence. I've been enlightened so far by the beautiful song rendition, Grateful. It really touched my heart and all the speakers. So I'm excited. My name is Keisha Moorhead. I'm a practicing general dentist here in Los Angeles, California. I'm the founder of a holistic oral health facility entitled Smile More Dental. I am a descendant of Maddie Curry Manley, and I am the daughter of Joe Lewis Moorhead and Ira Jean Everstein Howell. Two incredible souls that had a vision to own and operate a diagnostic medical laboratory. And they did so successfully for roughly 40 years. And as a result, I grew up in the medical field, and I personally lived and breathed medicine for, my undergraduate and dental training. So for the most part, I love speaking about medicine, and I'm excited to talk about the intersection of faith and medicine today. I would like to share a rather personal story with you all that occurred roughly 5 months prior to me acquiring Smile More Dental. I woke up in writhing pain all over my body. Every joint in my body hurt. I felt physically drained of all energy, and this lasted for months, and I could not get out of bed. At this point in my life, I had been practicing for 14 years, and it was the only way I knew how I was going to earn a living. And I was 4 to 5 months out from a big purchase. I didn't know what to do. This was obviously a very precarious situation for me to find myself. I prayed, as I'm sure everybody that's here at this reunion does. When we don't know what to do, we go to God. And so by the grace of God, I pressed forward. The message came through to continue with the acquisition, and I did so. I ended up discovering that the root cause of my condition was inflammation. Inflammation brought on by chronic stress and poor diet, amongst other things. I at this point completely changed the way I decided to practice dentistry. I shifted from let's take the diseased part of the tooth out and replace it to what coexisting conditions does this patient have, and how will that impact my diagnosis and my treatment, and thus my treatment then go back and impact those existing medical conditions. I began to study the concept of the tipping point, that point where systemically our bodies have a cumulative effect of inflammatory insults to the body, and our immunological defenses can no longer take it. Once this threshold has been surpassed, we see that chronic diseases like heart diseases, cancers, autoimmune disorders, and that's what I ended up suffering from at that time, was an autoimmune disorder. So all those things make way when we reach that threshold. From these concepts, I fashioned my holistic oral health model, and I truly believe that it is through faith that myself and other people can push through incredible hurdles and setbacks to manifest that which the Holy Spirit has shared within us to share with the world and my community at large. So through my newly found holistic approach to oral health, I plan to continue to work in the communities, especially medically underserved communities that need to know keeping that infected tooth out of your mouth is actually helping to prevent your blood pressure from going up, and it's going to help the blood pressure medication to work better. And then that reciprocal effect of the mouth and the body, I think, is what is missed so much and not emphasized. And so, the work that I have been doing and plan to do is to continue to improve, to advocate for more resources to be allocated to state-funded programs to help to improve access to preventative and holistic oral care, and not just pulling out teeth. They say faith without works is dead, and I do believe that this is my work, the little that I can do. And with faith, I will persevere. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Dr. Moorhead. Thank you for sharing that fantastic story. It's always good to reflect on challenges in our life and talk about how God has kind of not resurrected us, but brought us back up to speed and made us whole again. So definitely appreciate you sharing that story and sharing your creative way of thinking as it relates to dentistry and overall health. I think, again, we can't count out any portion of our health, whether it's physical, emotional, mental, and I think they're all interconnected. And just as you talked about, the food we eat and the consumption that we have plays a large part in how our dental functions are operating, how the rest of our body is operating. So they're all very well connected, and we thank you for sharing that and sharing your creative, new and innovative way of thinking about dentistry. Next up, we have my young cousin who I'm very, very proud of. I remember when she was in the process of getting her PhD, and I'm very proud to now introduce Dr. Tanisha Kearney Ramos, neuroscientist. You there, Dr. Ramos?
I am. Thank you, cousin, for introducing me. And I'm having so much fun listening to everyone's stories and their perspectives. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen because I, like a true scientist, do have some slides to share. They're just pictures, though, so y'all don't worry. I'm not going to go into like a neuroscience lecture or anything. But, all right, can you guys see my slides?
Yes.
All right. Yeah, so I'm sure a lot of you probably don't really know what a neuroscientist is. So I'm gonna give you a little bit of background on my roots in the family and kind of how that inspired me to become a neuroscientist. And then I'll talk to you guys a little bit about what it is I do and sort of focus on two avenues in which I have tried to contribute to my community through the work that I do. So like Dr. Manley, I am also in New York City at Columbia. It wasn't until very recently that I knew that Jennifer was there as well. So hopefully we can link up at some point. So I'm at Columbia Medical, which is in Uptown Manhattan, so Northern Manhattan. And I've been there for, I guess it's been almost 3 years now. And I do want to kind of talk about how I got there, like I said. So this little munchkin is my mom. So this is Judy Kearney, who is the baby of the Kearney family. And as you can see, this is our late patriarch, TJ Kearney, and TJ and Ethel were the parents to 19 kids, as we've already talked about. And my mom is the baby. And at some point, she met this guy who happens to be my dad. And I don't know where she found him because he's actually from like some islands in Africa. So I don't know where she found him. But anyway, my sister and I were born in Providence. So as you can see, this little one right there is me. And the other one is my sister, Tasia. So in other words, you could think of me as the baby of the baby. And one thing I do want to mention about my mom is the fact that my mom is a medical social worker. So despite the fact that in the Kearney family, a huge majority of the Kearney siblings went into law, and some of them even went into politics. My mom was one rare sibling in that she went into medicine. And so naturally, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. And given that I'm her doppelganger, it's only fitting that I would end up in the medical field as well. So like I said, about 3 years ago, I joined Columbia University as an assistant professor, which is the most junior level of faculty that you can enter in as. And basically what I do is I'm a clinical addiction neuroscientist. So that probably still means nothing to you. So I'm going to explain what that means. So as you guys probably know, addiction, so with people that are struggling with drug and alcohol use disorders, tends to disproportionately affect communities of color. And part of that is just, as others have kind of mentioned, sort of the systemic infrastructure for our communities, and also, the lack thereof, and also the inadequacy in access to healthcare, and in particular mental health care, which results in there being greater burden on individuals of color in terms of addiction. And so very early on, it was important to me to find a way to contribute to ameliorating this problem in communities of color and in general. And so I went into research that was focused on understanding more about how we can develop treatments to deliver the best type of care, mental and medical, to individuals contending with addiction. And so I'm going to give just one slide on neuroscience, just to kind of give you guys a perspective of what it is that I do. So as a neuroscientist, I'm using our understanding of the brain to develop treatments that are targeted to certain issues in the brain that contribute to addiction. So one example would be the fact that there are brain areas that are disrupted in addiction. And so you can imagine that the parts of the brain that respond to the drug, the parts of the brain that you would consider responding and contributing to the high feeling, those brain regions tend to be really active. And the part of the brain that controls someone's behavior and controls their planning and their ability to problem solve and sort of inhibit the things that the drug sort of makes them more impulsive, those brain areas tend to be not doing enough. And so when you have a situation where you have sort of the craving areas of the brain talking too much, and you have the control areas in the brain not talking enough, this sort of thing actually can contribute to the addiction cycle. And even in people that are in treatment, it can contribute to them going into relapse. So one thing that I've really been interested in doing is coming up with alternative treatments than what's currently available. And one form of that is using brain stimulation. So this is a type of brain stimulation coil where you actually just have a coil that's, I have a big head, but it's maybe like half the size of my head. And you place it next to the scalp, and it can actually change the patterns of activity in brain regions that need to be normalized in order for someone to regain their function. So this is a really new and interesting avenue, and it's something alternative to other types of treatment that has a lot of promise. So, so addiction and developing new treatments that are very different from the treatments that are currently available is one avenue in which I'm trying to contribute to our community. But another is just in, when I look around the room at my colleagues and my peers and other trainees, as you can see from these pictures, there's I'll just take a moment to look at these pictures. They're lovely pictures. These are some of my lab mates. This was when I was a postdoc in training. This was my lab director, and this is my current lab director. It probably doesn't take much for you to realize that there's not really a lot of diversity. So when you're thinking about developing treatments for, populations that tend to disproportionately be people of color, there's a disconnect between the people that are doing that research and the people that they're trying to help. So in order to most adequately develop these types of treatments for these specific populations, you have to have more representation in the actual scientists and the clinicians. And so another thing that I have gotten involved in is trying to increase diversity in other faculty and trainees, starting as young as middle school, by mentoring and also by creating sort of working groups where the focus is to increase diversity by having students train in our labs and get exposed to the type of research that we're doing, build their professional network so that by the time they're actually trying to pursue higher education, they've already started making those connections. They already have perhaps publications or presentations that they've done that can beef up their resumes or their CVs, and to just find a way of increasing the diversity of perspectives in the people that are providing the treatment or care, as well as those that are developing them through research. So those are kind of the two things that probably take the most of my time, is just developing the research, as well as also trying to think about the future of research by increasing diversity in we call it the STEM field, so science, technology, engineering, and medicine. Yeah, so that's all I have. I wanted to kind of do it a little different and give you guys some things to look at. But thank you guys for listening to me ramble on.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ramos. That was a fantastic and interesting presentation, both fantastic and interesting. Just listening to it, I probably have a good 20 questions running through my mind, but I won't indulge right now in the interest of time and the way we're set up as a panel. But I certainly look forward to, maybe for one of the monthly reunions, hearing more about that, ask some questions, particularly as it pertains to the new technical aspect of mind altering that you talked about. Also, kudos on looking out for the future of the research, specifically as it relates to our communities, African American communities. I think that's so important. And I think sometimes we miss the boat in not acknowledging how important our presence is with these young kids, and how much we can inspire some of them. Not every kid is uninterested, so we have to keep that in mind. So thank you so much again for that. I'm very proud of the work you've done, and continue doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
Next up, we have a young lady who I got to spend some time with when I was in the DC area. She came towards the end of my time there, but we did get a chance to spend some good family time. I'm very proud of her for pursuing her dreams and making things happen. Please help me welcome Dr. Jennifer Caldwell, geneticist. Dr. Caldwell, you there?
I'm here.
All right. Great to see you again.
Oh, good to see you. So I'm trying to get this set up. 1 second. Okay. So this is a little bit premature. When I talked to Aunt Jan, I was like, Aunt Jan, I'm going to be done with school. I'll be done by the end of June. but I have 2 weeks. So you all are gonna get one of my papers from my dissertation defense. That's what you all are gonna get today, okay? So this is new information. It'll be published in Evolutionary Anthropology this month, but we're really excited about it. So pre-doctor, I'm gonna give everybody their respect. Pre-doctor, 2 more weeks, okay? Hold me to it. So I am the great-granddaughter of TJ and Ethel Kearney. I am the granddaughter of John, Shirley, and Janice Kearney. And I am the daughter of Brandon Kearney. But I was raised in Pine Bluff, Arkansas by my parents, Barbara and Herman Caldwell. And that may not mean much to a lot of people, but to me, it's very interesting because I decided to pursue a career in genetics, specifically in African-American ancestry. And it kind of formed from my life journey to kind of a academic purpose. So we're going to talk today about African North Americans and the diversity within this group, and how the Gullah Geechee of South Carolina coastal islands kind of serve as an ancestral group for African Americans. So this is an image some of my students at Howard. I think it's a great image of what we call legacy African Americans. So that is you and me. Those are people that were but we have a unique phenotype, we have a unique look to ourselves as African Americans. So some of my students are from Memphis, Louisiana. There's a Black Seminole in the group, North Carolina. But we just want to recognize that legacy African Americans are different than this new flux of African Americans, or people that are considered African Americans coming into the United States today. Okay, so we know that African Americans came from West Central Africa, the Windward Coast, which includes Senegambia, the Bight of Benin, Upper Guinea, but also they came from Southeast Africa, Madagascar, and places like that. This is really important because during the transatlantic slave trade, and especially in South Carolina, the Gullah Geechee were formed from an amalgamation or a mixture of African ethnic groups that came from these areas, specifically for rice cultivation. So they were really good at rice cultivation, making indigo, being blacksmiths, and eventually sea island cotton. And so these people groups were purposefully taken to South Carolina, the Georgia coast, North Carolina, and the beginning part of Florida up until like Jacksonville area. So what does that mean for us today? As legacy African Americans, we're dealing with a lot. We've talked about what we need to be eating, right? We've talked about our mental health. We've talked about, what else have we talked about today? Neuroscience and how that affects us, Jim Crow and how that affects us. But as African Americans, what does that really do to our bodies over time? That's something that I'm really interested in looking at. Also looking at what we call mitochondrial DNA, which is your maternal group. So if we looked at our grandmother all the way back, what did she experience? Who was she? What type of food did she eat? Was she exercising? Probably so. You know, she probably was doing a little bit more than what we're doing. She probably had more of a vegetarian diet. And how does she represent us today? So our thought process is that the Gullah Geechee in South Carolina, Savannah, Georgia area, they represent kind of a ancestral mother for the rest of us here in the Americas. Not saying that they're the only group that could have contributed, but they just have a really strong hold on being a founding group for African Americans. Skip that one. So this is 23andMe from a while back. And I don't know how many people have done DNA testing, but it's really cool. I think we should all do it. So the picture that's very, can you see the pointer? Y'all see the pointer? Yes, no, yes. Okay, so the picture that's really colored in, right? This is who I am mostly. The issue with this image is that it's only 50% accurate. So when you get your DNA results back and it's very colored in, you're like, oh, I know exactly what I am. Well, the honest truth is it'll update as their database gets stronger. So as more people participate, as more of your relatives participate, it'll get stronger and it'll be able to identify who you are, what diseases you need to screen for, and things like that. on the right side, this is 100% of who I am according to this database. So they really don't know that much. And I think that sometimes confuses African Americans when we want to participate in DNA research, because we expect scientists to have the answers because we act like we do have the answers. But the truth is we have to communicate better about what the answers actually show the public. So I just wanted to show you all that and encourage you all to get DNA testing done at some point. So this is an image of like such a scientist after Dr. Ramos. She's like, we're gonna do pictures. I'm like, oh no, I have other things besides pictures. But so this is a makeup of who we think African Americans are, right? They're 82% to 85% African tribes and ethnic groups. Native Americans make up about 1.2%. And then the rest of us have about 10 to 16% European influence. That's very different for the Gullah Geechee in South Carolina. They were very isolated. They had to, they got to retain their culture, they retained their language because Europeans did not come to the coastal sea islands a lot due to mosquitoes, malaria, being busy in Charleston, I guess. They didn't get out there a lot to bother them. So their admixture is a little bit different than the modern African American like you and me. Another thing that I'm interested in looking in is how being African American allows you to have health disparities like stroke and cardiovascular disease. So this image is just basically Americans, right? We're still in the South. We're still a part of those generations of enslaved Africans. And why is it that people that live here have this high rate of hypertension? Well, it's our portions, okay? It's our portions. That's part of the problem, our portions and our salt. But also there's a significant amount of racism here that contributes to what we call epigenetics. So it's not a part of your actual genetic code, but they are like influences that regulate your body's ability to bounce back. You know, that I think we talked about that earlier with like neuroscience and how your body can bounce back. So there are other things that influence your body's ability to do that. And racism and stressors actually have a really negative effect on your body over time. That's more about the stroke belt. We'll keep going. Okay, so then to wrap this up, I think Dr. Manley talked about the migrations earlier. This is a really important part of African American history because the migrations help to make us more alike over time. So we leave South Carolina, and this is the Gullah Geechee migration. They went into Florida and into the Bahamas, but they also were refugees and went into what we call the 5 civilized tribes. So the Choctaw, the Cherokee, Chickasaw, Creek, Seminole. And it would be really interesting to know how much of our family maybe were a part of those groups. If we have any records of the Dawes rolls that would tell you how much land you were allotted. That's just something that I feel like African Americans should kind of get into at this point, because there's a lot of people groups that really need more of us out here that were allotted land and that was stolen from us over time. So not only is this project kind of a scientific project, but it definitely is oriented in justice for African Americans. And so all of this kind of leads to where I am today. I'm going to Chicago. I have a postdoctoral fellowship at Northwestern in cardiovascular disease for stroke prevention and epidemiology. And one of the main projects I'll be working on is looking at genes and the environment and how they influence African Americans that were a part of the Great Migration. And then another thing is I have my own company. It's a startup genetics company. It's called African Bloodlines. So shameless plug, you all can go there. You can buy merchandise. There's nice like representative of like Black Pride merchandise there. So I'm just really excited to see how this research can unfold and how we can continue to impact African Americans and live healthier lives.
Wow. Well, thank you kindly. And yes, we're going to go ahead and use Dr. Caldwell. We're going to claim that for you.
Thank you.
I think after that presentation, I think all of us who have pursued PhD or medicine can honestly say that sounds like a winning presentation. And I'm sure you're going to do just fine. So congratulations on that. Thank you for sharing that information too. again, another presentation where I can think of a gazillion questions to ask, and I would love to further that discussion with you at another time. So I definitely look forward to that. But really great information, really interesting information, particularly as it relates to family genetics, things of that nature. Actually, my wife had kind of started looking into that, not necessarily from a genetics perspective, but just, well, I forget the name of the little company where you can look up your family tree or something like that. Yeah, one of those 23andMe type. But it will really be interesting to see what we can find out from a genetic perspective as well. I think even more importantly, from a genetic perspective. So thank you so much for that information. That was really awesome, and I'm really, really proud of you. Way to go, and keep the keep the train moving. All right. So finally, we have Dr. Venice Curry. She's a psychiatrist, and she will be sharing her perspective from the psychiatric field. Dr. Curry, are you there?
Yes, I am. Thank you. And if I can share my screen.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. It's such a pleasure and an honor to be a part of the family and to hear all the wonderful research that's happening. So much of it coincides with the work that I personally do. So I love to connect with you guys later. But actually, I just really have the honor and the privilege of talking and introducing you to my dad, Ulysses S. Curry, MD. And so this will really be in tribute to him. He is on the screen and will be able to just say hello to you as he wants to. Dr. Curry is a family physician. He is also very much a community leader. He is the oldest of this Curry family. He is 98 years old and couldn't be more proud and more honored to actually be able to talk a little bit about the work that he's done, the way that he has transformed the community of Fresno locally, but also the amount of work and influence that has spread from this Fresno community to other parts of the world. I just want to share with you a little bit about his early life, his education, the 3 pillars, his medical career, and then we'll just move through with some of the information that he has. So as you see on the screen, this is Dr. Ulysses Curry, born in Fort Worth, Texas on September 26, 1922. He is the 6th of 8 children of Milton King Curry Sr. and Lena Claiborne Curry. He has the brothers that are listed here, Reverend Dr. Milton K. Curry, Dr. Augustus Curry, Joseph Curry, Lycurgus Curry, Theodore Curry, and Reverend Lacey Curry, who you heard earlier. His sister, Teresa Curry Nelson, was the only daughter of that family. These are just a few of the photos of the siblings. You see M.K. Curry Jr., my dad, Dr. Curry, and Uncle Augustus, who was a dentist. You see Mrs. Teresa Curry Nelson, who was an educator and a musician. And then this last picture that I was able to find is of Lycurgus Curry, who is the father of L.C. Curry, who was also on the call. So I want to just share with you a little bit about who Dr. Curry is, because you have to understand his 3 pillars in order to understand why he practiced medicine for over 50 years in the same community, serving the Black community, serving the community that was marginalized, never wavering, never leaving, and committing such a life of service that even to this day, nurses who remember him from 20, 30, 40 years ago just only smile when they hear his name. His personal life, this is my mom, Mrs. Mary Curry. She was Mary Roper at the time. They met, I believe, in Denver, Colorado. They have been married for 67 years, and this is their wedding photo with my dad, my grandfather, who is Milton King Curry Sr., and my grandmother, Mrs. Edna Toney. This is their marriage photo. The next photo is their first child, or their two children, Ulysses Curry II, and myself. I'm the chubby baby in the picture. Just move forward, move past that one. These are the siblings, my brother, Ulysses Curry II, myself, Milton Curry, named after our grandfather and also our uncle, my sister, Elena Curry Carter, and Joseph Curry. All of them had names after our uncles, and I was the only one that got a different name, and I'm still trying to figure that part out, but very blessed. So I want to just share with you a little bit about the faith that Dr. Curry has in God, the commitment to family, and the compassion for the community. Those are really the three pillars that he has exhibited and continues to exhibit even at age 98. He attended school in Central High School in Nebraska, moved to Denver, Colorado, pursued his some graduate studies, but then found himself at Meharry Medical College in Tennessee. Graduated from there in 1952, and then completed an internship. And he came to Fresno as the very first Black resident at Valley Medical Center. And so you can imagine you're in a city, Fresno, California, not familiar with the Black community, very few Black professionals. And he is the first resident to actually be at this facility and really blazing a pathway, really taking on the fact that when he does well, it paves the pathway for the next generation of residents and interns. And so believe me, his name is still legendary at Valley Medical. His name is still legendary at Community Hospital. He practiced in West Fresno from roughly 1956 all the way to 2006 when he was, I'm going to say, persuaded to retire because we really wanted him to retire a little earlier. But he continued to serve the community in so many different ways. He is family practice. And when you say family practice, he included everyone in the family. It wasn't unusual for him to have parents, to have delivered their children, to continue to see them as they grew up, and then to see their children as well. And so he delivered many, many young people. He continued to offer house calls, and he was full service. Many of the things that people would say even to this day would be, Dr. Curry was very slow and deliberate, which meant he took his time. They would say he spoke very softly, which meant they had a little trouble hearing him because he had a soft voice. But they would always say how much he cared about their family. And that hasn't changed even since he's been retired. People still come up to him and will remark on the kindness that he showed his family, their family, the fact that he delivered many, many children, and that they recall their stressful times when Dr. Curry stepped in and made sure that they were getting the best medical care possible. He is a member and a former president of the Daniel Hale Williams Medical Society here in Fresno, California. He was a member of the California Association of Family Physicians, always a member of National Medical Association, and a fellow of the American Academy of Family Physicians. Just to let you know, the degree of fellow in the family medicine tradition really honors people who do distinguished service, but also its service to the community. And so when we talk a little bit more about some of that community work, you'll understand why he was honored as a fellow. One of the most impressive and lasting effects that he's been able to institute in Fresno is to really introduce the Fresno community to the United Negro College Fund and the fact that there are historically Black colleges and universities. Years ago, the Fresno community was not as well informed, and his starting a chapter in Fresno really opened the door for young people to actually pursue degrees and experiences at these historically Black colleges and universities. We now have a steady pipeline of young people who travel from Fresno, surrounding areas to the South, Hampton University, Southern, Howard, so many of the Black colleges, and then some of them have actually come back. And so there's a legacy component to the work that Dr. Curry has done and the ways that he has introduced education and support for young people throughout his medical career. His church work started at Second Baptist Church, where he was a member for many, many decades. He was the chair of the deacon board. He served as moderator. He was a steady and faithful member. And that modeling of how to be faithful to one's church, how to be a good citizen, a kind and practicing physician, led many people not only to attend church, but also to want to pursue education. His awards and honors are honestly too numerous to share. I just included two of them. One is Frederick Douglass Award from the National Women's Political Council here in Fresno. The other is a UNCF award, but there are a host of awards and honors that he has been bestowed upon. He is a quiet and very humble person, and so never looking for the awards, but just continuing to do the work. He is always a part of celebration, and so I share with you this slide, which just shows my graduation from medical school, which still makes me smile. My youngest brother Milton's graduation from Cornell, who Milton is now the Dean of USC Architecture. Our large family celebration of their 25th wedding anniversary. And this is him welcoming our next generation. She is, I would say, close to 30, but this was our very first next generation. And there's just joy in knowing that the next generation is well-grounded in all of the faith and the compassion and commitment of the Curry family. This is one of his favorite quotes that I share with you. I was young and now I am old, yet I have never seen the righteous forsaken or their children begging for bread. They are always generous and lend freely. Their children will be blessed. He shares this with us to remind us that doing right is its own reward and that God is always with us. Finally, this is one of our smaller reunion photos. You'll see this is Dr. Curry. This is Lacey Curry that you also heard from. And these are the descendants of the Milton King Curry Sr. family. Many of them are all grown up now, but believe me, they carry the torch well. They represent the values of our ancestors, and they are leading us into the next generation. So we are proud and we thank you for this opportunity.
All right, just a pause. I can't figure out who that is. If you are not muted, please mute yourself. Thank you. All right.
Okay, Rachel, I think that got it. Thank you.
Yeah, I just muted everybody. So.
Good. Well done. Well done. Well, Dr. Curry, thank you so very much for that presentation, for that history of Dr. Curry. I think most of us can agree that his impact was a lot better than his achievements, his personal achievements. It's one thing to go out and get academic accolades, great job, things of that nature, but it's another thing to actually take those blessings and pass them on to others. What was it that Maya Angelou said? Most importantly, it's how do you make the next person feel that they would appreciate most. And at the end of the day, it's very clear that Dr. Curry had a huge impact on folks everywhere he went. So I'm very proud to say that he's a member of, well, I'm a member of his family. And thank you for that wonderful information on him and his life. It's really interesting to know. And I think that's good information that probably many of us were unaware of. So thank you. Well, that concludes the medical portion of today's presentation. I want to thank everyone for taking time to listen intently. And I'm sure if everyone was as into these presentations as I was, you walked away with a lot of questions, a lot of interesting thoughts, a lot of hope. We have a lot of relatives that are doing a lot of fabulous things. And I just want to finally take a minute to say congratulations to you all. Thank you for not just making yourselves look good, but upholding family traditions and values. We're extremely proud of you. We're extremely thankful for you. Continue to be the leaders that you've been. Have a good afternoon, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. King. At this point, we're going to have a song. Olivia Rose Brown has prepared a musical piece for us. Olivia, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready. Hello. My name is Olivia. I am Michael Brown's son.
Daughter? Yeah.
Oh my God.
So Olivia is the great-granddaughter of Mary Curry and the daughter of Michael, who's the son of Horace and James. So we come through Mary Curry's line, and she wrote a song that she's going to tell you about and why she wrote that song.
So last year at the beginning of the pandemic, you guys probably all remember the murder of George Floyd. And it was at the beginning of the pandemic, and I remember wanting to go out and protest, but I couldn't because we were living at home, and we have a lot of different people in my family who were immunocompromised, so I couldn't go out and be in large groups of people. But music is my passion, and it's something that I think can be used to, that has been used throughout all the time, just to spread awareness and be seen as like the voice of the people. And so I wrote a song just voicing my feelings about what was happening and just reminding myself to keep on fighting and to keep on being a part of the movement rather than letting this situation bring me down and discourage me, because it was very heavy and it was on all the timelines, and it kind of felt like seeing all of the posts made it feel like no one, like people didn't care. And so reminding myself that there are people who care and that our voices matter and that our voices are powerful. So I wrote this song, I recorded it in my bedroom and I made the music video in my bedroom, and it's called Hear Me Roar.
So you did all the vocals?
Yes.
Backgrounds, leads, music, and shot the video yourself?
Yeah, and edited it. So.
You need to share the screen?
Yes, I'm gonna share the screen right now. Okay.
I can't do this anymore. See my brothers on the floor, pushed and shoved against the wall. It's like we're not human at all. I told my mother that I'm about to go to war. I grab my sisters and brothers and others, hand in hand we start the march. The enemy's pushing me down to the ground, Yeah, the enemy's guns on my crown, but bullet holes don't faze me. I've seen the enemy kneel on my neck, face to the floor, eyesight hazy. Might not be able to breathe, but believe tonight you gonna hear me roar. I said, hear me roar. Hear me roar. I said, hear me roar. Oh, I can't do this anymore. See my brothers on the floor, pushed and shoved against the wall, yeah. It's like we're not human at all. Oh, grab your mothers and fathers and sisters and brothers and others, hand in hand we will stand, lift our voices, fend for one another. We will not back down. No, they cannot stop us now. The battle's just begun. We not gonna stop until we won. Who cares if the enemy's pushing me down to the ground, So the enemy's guns on my crown, the bullet holes don't faze me. I've seen the enemy kneel on my neck, tear gas and my eyes get hazy. Might not be able to breathe, but believe tonight you gonna hear me roar. I said, hear me roar. Hear me roar. I said, hear me roar. Hear us roar. Hear me roar. Hear me roar. Hear me roar.
Eric, John, Michael, Nazelle, Dante, Michelle, Laquan, George, Tanisha, Akai, Tamir, Remain, Jermaine, Matthew, Frank, Natasha, Tony, Anthony, Maya, Philip, Eric, Walter, William, Alexia, Brendan, Victor, Jonathan, Freddie, Joseph, Salvador, Sandra, Albert, Darius, Billy, Samuel, Michael, Brian, Christian, Troy, Asham, Felix, Keith, Junior, Lamontez, Patterson, Dominic, Anthony, Alonzo, Tyree, India, Levante, Michael, Jamar, Richard, Nathaniel, Benny, Miguel, Michael, Kevin, Betty, Quintonio, Keith, Janet, Randy, Anthony, Wendell, David, Callan, Sean, Christopher, Marco, Peter, Tori, Darius, Kevin, Mary, Demarcus, Willie, Tara, Sybil, Alton, Philando, Terrence, Paul, Alteria, Jordan, Aaron, Ronald, Stephen, Antoine, Botham, Pamela, Dominic, Tatiana, Christopher, Eric, Michael, Brianna, George. Say their names. Lord, let their deaths not be in vain. Bring us together. Give us power. Give us peace.
Thank you, Olivia. That was
Come in this thing, Pat.
powerful.
Come in,
So
girl.
we really appreciate you sharing that with us. A lot of people, if you're looking in the chat, you're going to see people are just blown away by this. And I'm sitting here thinking, we just heard from our fabulous STEM family members. This legacy of the Kearney, I'm sitting here thinking, we got it all. We got scientists, we got artists, we have ministers coming up next. This is fabulous. So thank you for sharing. I asked someone to throw it in the chat. Someone did put that link in the chat. So for those of you who want to watch it again, help it go viral. As someone said, get this woman on the NAACP Image Awards. Let's make that happen. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. I am going to turn it now over to our ministry panel. Everybody's been doing so wonderful. If you need to take a break, run to the restroom, do whatever you need to do, please do that. We know everybody will still be here. I'm going to turn it over to Pastor Kevin Young, who's going to moderate our ministry panel. Pastor Young, take it away.
Okay, well, thank you so much. Hello, Curry and Kearney families. My name is Kevin Young. For those on the Curry side, I don't know very many of you, you may not know me, but I am known in the Curry side as the favorite nephew, favorite cousin. So you can just ask for the fave and they'll know who you're talking about. Well, I've been asked to serve as moderator for this distinguished panel of ministers, and they're going to share about themselves and what God is doing in their lives and in their ministries, and how that work impacts the lives of other people. And before I get started, I'd like to say thank you to our medical panel for the amazing work that you do. You make us all proud. Thank you, Olivia, for that beautiful song. I mean, that was amazing. And so I just wanted to say thank you first. And although we're all biological beings and psychological beings, we're also spiritual beings. And in fact, in the grand scheme of things, it's our spirituality that dominates our eternal existence. So we'll be spiritual for a long time. And so here, representing care to our spiritual selves is an impressive group of men and women who are going to share their testimonies of what God is doing in their lives and ministries. And so let them wow you with the fact that they can not only share all of those great things that God is doing in their lives, but they can do it in 10 minutes or less. All right, so to begin this afternoon, we're going to start with Pastor Kenneth Curry Jr. of Yorba Linda, California. Pastor Kenneth Curry, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you. Good afternoon and good evening. So some of you are on the East Coast. It's evening already. Here in California, it's still afternoon. And so I'm grateful to be with you today and grateful to share. I'm going to do my best to be succinct and move relatively quickly. I am a descendant of Luther and Mattie Curry. My grandfather was Millard J. Curry, my grandmother Dorothy Curry. I am the son of Kenneth Curry, so I'm Kenneth Curry, Kenneth C. Curry, Kenneth Carl Curry Jr., and very grateful to be here and to share with you all. I currently pastor the Friendship Baptist Church in Yorba Linda, California. Friendship was the first African-American church to be planted in North Orange County. Friendship is in North Orange County, birthed in the middle of the civil rights movement. And so I'm very grateful for the opportunity to serve at that church. I am only the second pastor in Friendship's 57-year history and legacy. And I had opportunity to serve with the founding pastor, Bishop James Donald Carrington, to serve him and to serve the people at large. And so I'm very grateful for this opportunity. I realized clearly that if it had not been for the Lord who was on my side, I would not be here and have opportunity to serve in this particular manner. Friendship not only was the first African-American church in North Orange County, Currently, it is one of the largest African American churches in Orange County, California. African Americans only make up 2% of the population. And so it is a feat. We are largely a commuter church. About 50% of our members come from Orange County, and then 50% come from other counties that some of you are familiar with: Los Angeles County, San Bernardino County, Riverside County, where I actually reside. And believe it or not, we have some members that come to us from San Diego County. So people travel to be a part of the ministry that we are. And of course, you all know with the pandemic, we have been challenged to reinvent ourselves virtually. And so we have worked to that end. I came to Friendship in 2001 and began working for the church in 2002. Actually grew up in a sister church to Friendship. And I'll be honest with you, I am living my dream. I never thought I would pastor the Friendship Baptist Church. As a young person, Friendship was the church that we wanted to be. We modeled a lot of what we did in the church I grew up in, True Vine Missionary Baptist Church, after Friendship. And so to pastor Friendship now is a dream come true, but it articulates the sovereignty and the providence of God in my life. And so I'm very grateful for that. I did not come to know the rich history and legacy of the Curry family until I got a little bit older, though I had gone to some reunions as a kid. When I was in my 20-somethings, came to appreciate more so the Curry family. And when I went to Oral Roberts University. Now, I'm not gonna go through my bio in the beautifully done program that we have. Our bios are there and mine is there. I am grateful that this family has a legacy of education, but also has a legacy of ministry. And so I came to Friendship in 2002 to serve as its youth pastor, and over the years took on more ministry, became children youth pastor, children youth young adult. When we started to go through our search, I was named the executive pastor and led the ministry functions of the church. And then by God's providence and sovereignty, when the dust settled and everything cleared in 2013, I became the senior pastor. And so I've been serving to that end. And Friendship, we call ourselves a church where Christ is magnified. And we have 4 pillars that we hang our hat on, that we stand upon, that we are Bible-based, Christ-centered, accountable, and saved to serve. It is important to us that the Bible is at the forefront of what we do. And that's important to me. In my preaching, context is the most important thing, helping people to understand why something was written, to whom it was written, and what difference it makes in their life. And so my passions are youth. That's where I started. My passions are youth, family. We work really hard in the area of food insecurity. In Orange County, when people lack food, dangerous things happen. They actually, because of the high rent district, they will commit suicide. They'll feel embarrassed. Those types of things take place. And then the other thing that I'm passionate about is homelessness. I grew up in a church where we went to downtown Los Angeles every month, and we ministered to the homeless. And it is a passion that I have, and specifically for youth, for those youth that are LGBTQ plus. A lot of them are put out of their homes, even in this day and age, when their parents find this out, and they suffer because of their lifestyle. And so wanting to minister to the individuals is my passion. I pastor because I believe in helping people. I believe in not only bringing hope, but bringing solutions. I believe that we can't just have programs, but we have to actually have solutions that help people in terms of what they do. So as I pursued my academic pieces, at the forefront of it all is, how can I use this practically every day? And so here recently with the pandemic, one of the things that I've been credited for is our approach to ministry in this context virtually. We utilize, a church app, a website. I do a weekly video to our membership and have grown from really something that was non-existent almost, a media ministry where we really focus on how we keep our membership connected, some 2,300 plus people, making sure that they're able to still have the information that they need and still be pastored. Pastoring is not virtual. Pastoring is personal. And so I am utilizing every tool that we have to personally impact and stay connected with our members. I believe in intergenerational ministry. And so it is not just the, one family. I ask God to allow me to pastor friendship a generation that would be 20 to 25 years. And I'm 8 years in. So my prayer is that God will give me that, he will answer that prayer and give me that opportunity. But intergenerationally, I have opportunity to minister to in our church. We have people, we still have founding members of our church who attend regularly now, albeit they are virtual in this season, but we still have them, their children, their grandchildren, and believe it or not, their great-grandchildren. So this whole idea of intergenerational ministry is really important to me. And even as I listened to the presentation on Dr. Ulysses Curry, that challenged me because there's an opportunity to minister to bring hope and healing to whole generations of families and give them the opportunity to worship together. I know worship styles change and things are concerning to people, but one of the things that I think that we can bring together, stay together, is that we can harness and harvest. Harness what we have as generations, just much like what we're doing today, celebrating our culture and our history and our family. But we can also harvest from that and give it to the next generation. How empowering it is to know that you have a generation of medical, scientific professionals, ministry professionals, and artists, singers, that this family covers the full gamut of opportunities. It is encouraging. It has been encouraging to me. I'll close with this. When I went to Oral Roberts University, one of the things that was very helpful to me was that I was able to use that opportunity to visit Morris Alexander Curry, M.A. Curry, and his son will speak at the end of this panel today. But I was able to go and be with him and drive him around as he did pastoral visits. I credit him with the opportunity to learn how to pastor. He taught me, and it was very much old school, but that opportunity not only to learn about faith, Memorial Baptist Church, the church that Faith is building, which is the church he founded, but to be able to be connected with other Currys who are in ministry. I've had Lacey K. Curry to come and preach for me, and so very grateful for his legacy of ministry. I think that that's what's most important about what happens, is that we are individuals that carry the baton for this entire family, that we have one another that we can share. And I would love for any one of the other ministers in this family, if you want to come preach at Friendship, you're more than welcome. Not because I feel like I have a platform, but because I want to be connected to that enriches my history. And if you can introduce that, I think it speaks volumes. And so I'm very grateful. Jan, thank you so much for working so hard to pull us all together and to even reimagine this reunion virtually. Rachel, thank you for what you're doing to keep us on task. And thank you again for the opportunity to share with you today.
Thank you so much, Reverend Curry, for your words. And you're right, pastoring is definitely very personal. And so next, we're going to move forward with our next panelist, Pastor Arthur Willis of Romulus, Michigan. Pastor Willis, go ahead and take it.
Amen. God bless you. It's certainly great to be here. Hello to all my family members. We've certainly missed all of you guys. And Haven't seen you in a while, but Janice and I really miss you a lot. Let me just tell some of you who I am, because you're wondering who is this guy name, and I want you to kind of understand where we at, how do I fit into the family. I'm married into the family. My wife, of course, is Janice, which is Curry. My father, I call him Dad. He's from Samuel Curry. He's from Samuel Curry, and Samuel Curry had about 12 kids, and those 12 kids are all going home to be with the Lord now. But my dad is, I call him Dad, he's still here, Leonard Curry, and he's 95 years old. In fact, we were just with him on last evening with Dad, and just we went to on vacation with him. He still can get around. Doesn't see as well, but he still get around. So I'm married into the family, but I've gone to almost all the reunions that we've had, and I certainly have enjoyed. I have the ability to pastor 2 churches, and one of them is in Romulus, Michigan, and the other one is in Detroit. And those churches that go every Sunday, they're every Sunday church. And ministry has been great to me. I've been doing this pastoring now for a little over 30 years. So I've been learning what to do over 30 years, and it's been a blessing. I've seen ministry change. I still consider myself as wanting to pastor a grandma church, because so many times we allow, with all the technology and all the and I'm okay with that. I know things changes, and I know technology change, but the word of
You muted. Can you unmute yourself? Pastor Willis, we can't hear you. Unmute yourself. It muted.
it must have went by mistake.
Gotcha.
All right, any of that, you missed all of that?
Go back like 2 sentences.
All right, well, let me just, that's fine. I just consider myself like maybe grandma church, where we pastor. I believe the word of God ought to still stay the center of all of our attention. It ought to be what the church is all about. And I love all the technology. I love all the things we do. I love all the songs of praise. I love all the testimonies. But I think that we need to maybe get, I know the 3-point outlines are great, but I think that we need to show that love of Christ, the love of Christ. And I think that this generation needs it. Don't want the church. They want a quick fix, but there is no quick fix for it. You have to get Jesus in your spirit, get Jesus in your heart. So, and I think that that's where I'm at. So for 30 years, I've been pastoring, trying to learn how to pastor, and God has blessed me tremendously. I had a son of mine that came in ministry, but didn't want it to go in ministry. He wanted to be something totally different. He's got his master's degree from U of M. He's a Wolverine, and
doing this wrong.
We do believe in education, and education is so great. As I definitely believe in that. And all of my kids has gone to college and is graduated except for one of them, and there's still hope for that one. But by the grace of God, we love it. So he came to church for us, and I bribed them into playing music for us because we didn't have a musician at that time. And so for the last, I don't know, 6, 7 years, maybe more, he was our music ministry, and he played our music. And then Lord called him into the ministry, and he became my youth pastor of our church. And man, you're talking about we did some wonderful things, because we took his energy, his new ideas as a youth pastor, took our youth, bringing in other youth in that could relate with them with songs, with music, things that I had, old school grandma church was not able to relate to those young people. He understood their hurt, he understood their pain, he understood those things, that their heartbeat. He could get down where they're at. He knew their music, he knew their dance. So that ministry just blossomed under his ministry. And we did great things through him and I working together as a tag team. And it was great working, serving God's people in the city of Detroit and Romulus area. But then God will move him to another level to pastor his own church. In the midst of while he was with me, and while he was getting his master, he's the author of 4 books. His first one he wrote while he was with us, Break the Press, and tremendously good book. Amazon has all these books on him. His second one was All Mark. And then his third book was The Way Out is Through, a very, very good book, because you're trying to figure out how to get through it. You don't get through a situation by stopping in the middle. You got to go through it. And sometimes there's pain in the middle, but if you're hanging out long enough, you will get through it. Then his last book he just came out with this year, which is a real fantastic book. It's a 30-day journal, but we taught it at our church more than 30 days. It's called Unbothered. Oh, what a tremendous blessing. So I wanted him to come on tonight. I know Jan had asked me to come in, and thank you, Jan, for inviting me into this program today. Just like the previous presenter says, you didn't have to, a lot of preachers, but to think about us. We're so grateful for that. And I'm so much obliged for you thinking about me. But I wanted to bring him on tonight just to share with him from the young perspective, because until we reach this new generation, we got to be able to understand where they're at. We got to be able to talk their language. Grandma gonna come to church. She gonna come to church no matter what. I mean, she gonna come even during the pandemic. Grandma gonna come to church. But we have another generation out here that's educated, that feel that they know the Lord because they're educated. But that's fine. That's all well and good, and I'm great on that. But it's Jesus and His Spirit, Jesus and who He is, that got you where we are and is going to get us through. So I wanted him to just take a few moments to just share with him his heartbeat from where he's at, because I think that if we're going to change, though we don't have all the stuff we have, that we can feel the church. Because see, when I was coming up, we couldn't wait to get to church. And now we can't wait to get out of church. And that's okay, because we got to give something to this generation that's coming up, because they're not going to be there in a 3-hour church service. So he taught me. I'm learning from him. Yeah, it's amazing. My service now down to probably about 45 minutes to an hour, where it used to be 2 hours, because he said, Dad, you're too long. So I had to learn something. I had to learn from him, because this generation we're trying to reach, grandma will stay there all day because she just loves Jesus. But this other generation is not. So we had to change some things around so we can be able to minister to hold this new generation. So he's blessed me over these few years, is showing me that this is what we have to do in order to be able to keep the young people from going to other churches. They let them out in a certain time, and also give them some meat while they're there. Because see, it's not just letting them go early. It's got to make sure you have some meat. Thank God for the song, but you need some meat, because in the midnight hours, when the roads get rough and things get hard, you're going to need the word of God to hold you and keep you. So I'm going to ask Reverend L.T. Willis to come in. He's the proud pastor in Eastern Michigan of the New Jerusalem Baptist Church. And he's going to come in. He's going to share what's on his heart. As he sees ministry today, as I see ministry as teamwork. I want him to come in and just share some with you. Reverend, would you come in and share some with us?
Good evening, everyone. First of all, give an honor to the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for who He is to all of us. Certainly to all of those pastors and preachers who've spoken before me, to Dr. Curry, and to all of those on the panel, to my dad. This is a crazy time for us. We're actually in the middle of a reunion on his side of the family. So wasn't sure about how we're going to be able to do this, but I just want to say that this is a time where Christ is needed. He's always been needed, but this is a time where the church, I believe, has been exposed. And just really quickly, I'm very much about making sure that no matter how old we are, how old our ministries are, that every single ministry has a pathway to Christ, and to create that pathway. And God has given us all different talents. He gave, the parable of the talents He gave to each according to his ability. And for me, it's been about using my background, which is mental health, and allowing that to coexist with my faith, because a lot of people are struggling with mental health. It's also been about serving in the community, very much about Matthew 25, and also partnering with our friends at the NAACP, and working through police departments and trying to rule out implicit and explicit bias. So we've been doing listening tours in our community as well. And so ministry is still consistent with the Word of God. The message never changes, but sometimes the method does. And so that's pretty much what I'm about. I've been pastoring at New Jerusalem now for 4 years, going on 5 years. And God has done some things that I didn't ever think that I will be able to experience or come back from. And that was to pastor during a pandemic. There was no rule book for it. There was no Google search for it. You had to learn on your own and trust the Holy Spirit. And so here we are, even now, yet existing, yet thriving in ministry, and continuing to keep our hands on the plow. So I'm grateful for that, allowing me to come in, or asking me to come in. But this is very much about the legacy of those panelists and Dr. Curry, who's on tonight as well. So thank you for your time. God bless you, and may God continue to prosper the Curry family.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you to Pastor Willis. If for those of you that don't know it, there was actually a Pastor Arthur Willis Day. Is that correct? There in Romulus, Michigan? I believe there's a day we celebrate him. All right. I think he's.
Yes, there were. There is a day that we celebrate. It's again, it's just by the grace of God, by the grace of God. So we love you for that. Thank you, sir.
And it's great to hear of your contextual sensitivities and the missional practices that you have there in your church. We pray God's blessings upon you.
Thank you.
And so next on our panel, we have Pastor Jamelia Kearney Taylor, the quiet one. So we're going to hear from her right now. Pastor Jamelia, go ahead.
Hi, favorite. Oh, it's an honor and a privilege to be here. Hi, family. Thank you guys so much for having me to be on the panel today. It's an honor. Listen to everyone speak and so profoundly. I'm so grateful to be part of this family and to carry out the legacy that our grandparents and before them. I am the granddaughter of TJ Kearney and Ethel Kearney, and the daughter of Joseph Kearney Sr. We are in California. I live in a rural area in Hemet. I was asked by my aunt if I can share with you all how do we contribute to the community out here with our ministry. We're a small ministry. We just made 6 years this year. Our first compassion is love. As we are building up discipleship, we want to make sure that we are Bible training them properly, basing everything on and around the Bible as we iterate love. Our passion is our outreach. We are called Remnant of God Outreach Center, where we focus on helping the community in any way that we can. And a lot of the ministries in the surrounding areas have joined in, and I'm grateful to that because there are not a lot of resources out here. You do not have to be part of the ministry to participate with any of our programs, and I'm excited about that, to be part of this community. I'm grateful that even the mayor, we have had a few mayors that have been, oh, wow. Excuse me, my phone is cooked up with my iPad. We've had a few mayors that are believers. Our police chief is a believer. A lot of our council people are believers. So we do go out in the community with the love of Christ. We have a food and clothes ministry. We do a big turnout in our parking lot 3 times a year, where people can come get household and clothing, and we give out hot food on a regular. And we have something that we do during the wintertime where we call Cover Thy Neighbor, where sometimes we can't help with housing or maybe place anyone with housing, but we like to support them with blankets. That's one of the big things that we do out here. As a couple of other people said, that the homelessness is really getting out of hand, but of course we can't do a lot about that, but we can at least assist them with blankets. We have a new thing that we've been doing for the last few years, is helping with the mental health, because we've seen that particular situation is getting, it's subsidizing, and a lot of people are suffering from that. So I'm partnered with a few homes where we're helping people get their income, get medication, and try to be stable so they can have a more productive way of coming in together with society. We have a new program that I'm so grateful to be a part of, and that is, hello? Oh, we have a new program where we were just started working with Department of Social Services, where a few of us are monitors, where we do monitoring for families to visit with their children. I'm on a panel where we're helping parents reunite with their children, taking them back home. We just furnished a home yesterday where prayerfully The next court date is August 5th, where this family will have their children in a home. I'm excited about this new project, working with the Department of Social Services. That's basically it for, that's the heart that I'm grateful to God, and I'm grateful for my grandparents and my father instilling the love of Christ, and for us to truly walk in his love. And that's what it's all about. And to be a big part of the community and letting people know that it's so much more that we could be doing than a lot that's going on right now. But we do want, our main focus, like I said, is love, which the Lord himself said that that's the one of the first commandments is to love thy God with all our heart, with all our soul, with all our mind. And then he said to love our neighbors. And that's basically what we are doing out here, is allowing people to know who Christ is with the spirit of love, and to let them know that our ministry is there to help them in any which way they can. Our youth come out, and they don't have to be a part of the ministry to come and be a part of our programs. We do a lot of different stuff out here, and I'm excited with what's going on in the growing ministry. We've been in our last building for a year today, as a matter of fact. It's been great. It's been awesome. And thank you again, family. I love you. Congratulations to everybody. And we're amazing. We're amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor Jamelia. It's good to hear from you. Good to see you. And it's amazing to hear all of the things that you're doing there in your city. We'll be praying for you, for the work to continue. All right. And so next we have Minister Remon Davis of Houston, Texas. And I believe he is active not only in church and ministry, but he kind of crosses the divide between ministry and work. And he is influential there in his city. So we're going to hear from him next. Go ahead, Minister Davis.
Good evening, good afternoon to some, good evening to some. I am so honored and it's a pleasure to be a part of this family. Every time that I'm a part of the family reunion, you are reminded that you are part of something that's so much bigger than you, and it's in your family. To the medical panel, I honestly thought I was going to be bored. I really thought it was going to be bored, but I was so interested, and it was really good and good information. I'm glad that I was a part of it.
No, Zoom call. What's going on?
Hello?
Try that again. I'm muted. Go ahead.
Can I speak?
Yes.
Okay. Once again, it's a pleasure to be here. To all the pastors that's on the panel, I take my hats off to you. I'm an associate minister at my church, and I've seen all the work that pastors go through and all the hard times they go through, and I take my hat off to you because I know it's more work and hard work than people know outside of that office. Like the pastor said, like Pastor Kevin Young said, that I kind of cross between ministry and community. I believe that working in the community is ministry. I believe that working in the community is, the church is part of the community also. So I don't do it as a vocation. I'm not a paid minister. Unless it's an honorarium, but it's extra for me. By vocation, I work for AT&T. I'm a systems technician, and full-time and part-time, I work for United Airlines. And I also own a couple of businesses. So I have a lot going on, but I also include ministry and community in that too. I have been blessed and plucked out, and I was able to be a part of a ministry, the start of a ministry that no one knew that it would be what it is today. I was able to serve as a board member on my church, which is the Lighthouse Church of Houston, where Pastor Keon Henderson is the pastor. In the short 12 years that we've been in existence, we've grown to over 10,000 members, 4 or 5 different campuses, and a head pastor and 4 campus pastors. We do outreach around the world, across the country, in the city. I have been blessed. Like I said, we were there from the beginning. So my wife and I, my children, worked when there was no one there, and we were able to create systems and processes and ministries that right now work. And it's a different feel when you sit back and you see something that you were at the beginning of work and continue to work. And it's not just it's not for work, it's for God. It's a good feeling. And I served as a board member for the first 5 years until I felt my time was up. And then we transitioned. God always has something else for you to do, and a time for you to do anything. It's a time to end. I still serve in my church, but not in the same capacity. And after that, a neighborhood friend of ours and mine decided to start a nonprofit called East Houston Economic Development, in which we are basically a liaison between businesses, residents, and educational facilities and schools to kind of help them find out opportunities that government has and where we can get them together and work together and enhance the community for a better life where you can work, live and play. We kind of work behind the scenes. We don't do much in the public. We talk to council people, state representatives, national representatives. We put on recognition programs where we recognize business leaders, community leaders, even the guy down the street that just helps somebody out, just so the people can get out and talk to each other. But you'll be surprised how much that is appreciated, how much people live in their area and nobody ever says thank you. So sometimes, periodically, we put on programs, and we do food drives with the Houston Food Bank, where between the church and the organization, we've probably fed a couple million people, a few 100,000 families, let's put it like that. We also had a community paper that had stopped circulating because there was nobody was reading it. We went to the publisher and asked could we put it back in circulation. We changed the focus. We talked to the people and asked what they wanted, put it back out there, and now we have been circulating for about six or 7 years now. This is not the latest issue, but I think it was April 2021. And actually you can see it's George Floyd talking about a bill that's in the Texas House that's about to be passed. So we in that organization, we're just trying to make sure people are informed and make sure that we don't miss anything. Because sometimes, a lot of times in our community, we just sit back and let things happen to us. We sit back and we talk about gentrification and they're taking things from us, but you have to get up and move. You have to hold on to what you have, and you have to be a part of the process. If you're not a part of the process, it just happens to you. And I'm trying to go as fast as I can, and I want to take my time, but that's the paper. What else like that? I'm a certified Christian counselor. My wife and I are supposed to be paid, but we really don't let the people pay us that much. We have a lot. We don't focus on young couples, but that's who we end up counseling a lot. And a lot of times in our sessions, we end up not laughing at them, but laughing with them, with the problems that they come to us, that they believe are the end of the world. And we let them know that they're not alone. And those are problems that they probably will have and should have, and they have to work through them, because the new generation, they get married like they're dating. If something comes up, they're ready to get a divorce. And I haven't been married forever. I've been married 23 years. I've been with my wife 30 years. Father of 4 beautiful children. Have a set of twins, Bria and Brianna, 26, Bianca, 18 or 19, somewhere in there. And my son is 17. And that's where we think our focus, where we can help. That's where we think we can help young married couples, especially young Black married couples, because we all know the divorce rate is 50%. And we just want to show them that it doesn't always have to end in divorce. Marriage is the first contract or the first thing that God made. And we need to glorify it, and we need to make sure that we keep it, and we need to build families. We need to have families to represent our Lord and Savior. I'm in a few other things. My next passion is mentorship, young men mentorship. I've been a part of Tools for Teens, Mufasa's Pride. That's the newest one I've been a part of, where it's a Afrocentric rites of passage, if you want to say. We have pour our libations and talk and give thanks to the people that passed on and people that helped us, the ancestors. The kids, it's the kids serving kids from middle school to high school, and we help them become men. And and actually it's done so well over the last few years, they're thinking about doing a college branch, because the young men are coming back. They want to come back to keep getting the help that they were getting while they were in high school and middle school. And other than that, I probably work with little league sports and football teams most of the time my son is on. And now I have a grandson, so I can't wait for that to start back over again. Like I said, it was good to hear about the doctor that Venice, what's her name? I'm sorry. That my cousin Venice Curry said about her father, God, family, and community. And it was so reassuring that that's what I base my life on. And it's good to know that you are a part of something that your idea is not original, but it's been passed down. It seems like it's in us, and this has been great with the medical, with the song, the arts, and the ministry. I understand. I have not been a part. I've known about this about 20 years since the beginning, and I've attended about 3 of them. I know my mother and my family have. And for those that don't know, I am the son of Luella Sims, who is the daughter of Roberta Curry King, and who is the daughter of Carrie Curry King. Okay. And that is my time. And I will turn it back over to you, Pastor Young.
All right. Thank you so much. And we so appreciate you. In many years ago, the Lord told his people to go and fill the earth. Well, I believe the Spirit speaks to the church anew here in these days to fill the earth, and not necessarily geographically, but to fill the institutions, to find a place where we have a voice and can influence from inside of these various institutions. And you're doing that. You're bringing economic opportunities and hope in your community. So we appreciate the work that you're doing there in Houston, and we'll be praying for you. All right. And so next we have Reverend Dr. Morris A. Curry, and he's going to come. Are you ready, Dr. Curry?
Yes, sir.
All right. Take it away.
I'll just share my screen here for a moment here. I need to move this out of the way here. Okay. I can't, hold on.
Dr. Curry, click slideshow at the top of your tab. See where it
Yeah,
says,
I can't, I'm trying to get, I've got this black thing here in front of my, let me see if I can minimize it.
You
So I
can slide it out of the way.
Yeah, there it is. Okay. All right. All right. My name is Morris A. Curry Jr. Mostly call me Morris Jr. And I am the grandson of Luther and Martha Curry, the son of M.A. Curry Sr. So I put some icons here basically because Jan asked us the Curry contribution to ministry. And I'm the union of the Curry and Cooksey family. And my mother was Lenora Cooksey, and my dad and her met in Arkansas Baptist College and married. And to that union was Morris Jr. That's me and my mom on the other side there. The legacy of ministry, 4 generations of pastors in our family. We have and I need to move some, okay. Rufus Cooksey, who is my great-grandfather, my grandfather, my mother's father, her brother, and my dad. So there are 4 generations of pastors in my family, and so the legacy of ministry is strong in our families as well, especially the Curry family. And the merging of these 2 families, in a sense, gave me my ministry background, because when I came up, the church was the center of the community. Everyone, if you had any needs, I always say that the church was the first social welfare department, that we had. And I was licensed and ordained I was licensed in 67, ordained in 1968. And I think this is like 53 years of ministry that I've been associated with. My grandfather, the legacy of my grandfather on my mother's side, he was the president of the General Baptist Convention of Oklahoma. He was also moderator of the Creek district there, and he was president of the National Baptist Convention as well. On the right-hand side here, he was also organized the Antioch Baptist Church in Muskogee, Oklahoma in 1913. And my uncle, Cooksey Jr., he was the first assistant secretary of the National Baptist Convention, the dean of Liberty College. There you see him with H.A. Boyd, who was the secretary of the National Baptist Convention Publishing Board. We were a part, my mother's side of the family was in the Boyd faction, and my dad, of course, was in the Jackson faction. My uncle, of course, his ministry was there served also the National Baptist Convention. He had, this picture here shows that he ran 3 ministries from his desk. He was the National Baptist Convention executive director, as well as the president of the state convention, and also pastor of the church, Union Baptist Church in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And this is where I grew up. Here is my dad's ministry, West Side First Baptist Church in Idabel, Oklahoma. This picture is around from 1930, I say 40 to between 50, and my dad is right here. If you can see this cursor, this is Dad right here in the middle here. And so again, this was his first pastorate, I believe. So his legacy here is and you can see my grandmother and grandfather here in this picture here. He pastored after coming from Camden, he pastored Calvary Baptist Church in Oklahoma City. It was a 2,000 seat auditorium, and he was there, and that church actually was the headquarters for the NAACP in Oklahoma City. And Clara Lupa, who you can see here in the bottom, she was the one who actually set up the sit-ins. And Martin Luther King, of course, came along and got that program, but she was actually the one who instituted the sit-ins. And every Saturday they would march from Calvary downtown to Anna Maud's to sit in at the places, the lunch counters, because at that time we couldn't eat, at establishments. Martin Luther King, by the way, before Dad came to Calvary Baptist Church, he was also called to or offered the pastorate of this church, but he didn't there. But he and Dad exchanged pulpits, Daddy King and him also as well. And you can see this cornerstone, this Faith Memorial Baptist Church, is where he established that church after leaving Calvary. Curry and Cooksey ministry in times of crises. On the left-hand side, you'll see Greater Union Baptist Church, which was resurrected after the Tulsa riot. You can see Tulsa riot here in the middle. And I was raised in Tulsa, and our church, my grandfather's church, was burned down in that massacre, and was resurrected 10 years later at Greater Union Baptist Church in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And of course, Dad also had a historic church there as well, because it was where the civil rights movement in Oklahoma City and Oklahoma, began as well. So our ministry, and I can say, is that the legacy of Curry is ministering, through all kinds of, hardships and days that of crises and so forth. In 1985, I was asked my wife and I were asked to lead a ministry, because the Southern Baptists at the time said that they wanted to grow churches the way that heaven was going to look. And so they asked my pastor, who was Dr. James Coffey in Santa Rosa, California, if they knew anyone who'd be able to lead a multi-ethnic congregation. And so he mentioned me and my wife, and we prayed about it, because we were actually getting ready to go on the mission field for Campus Crusade for Christ. We didn't know that we were going to do home missions. We were going to do foreign missions, but it turned out that we were going to do home missions. Interestingly enough, Santa Rosa, the Community Baptist Church in Santa Rosa, was the first church of African descent to accept affiliation in the Southern Baptist Convention in 1954. And in 1985, Community Baptist Church was asked to shepherd a church in Napa County. Napa was the headquarters of the KKK in California back in the day. And so it was a mostly Anglo, community. We went to American Canyon, California, where there at the time there was 4,000 people there. And we went there, and today that city has over 20,000 people or so. So we established New Life Christian Koinonia there in American Canyon, California, and in 1985, and it was the first intentionally established multi-ethnic congregation affiliated with the Redwood Empire Baptist Association, as well as the entire Southern Baptist Convention of America. So we actually became the first intentionally organized church of multicultural mission. Not to say that there weren't some Black churches, some white folks, and some Black churches and Black people, vice versa. Fact is that this church was started intentionally to be multi-ethnic. We were not without controversy, because when we started, our church was attacked 3 times. in 2 weeks while we were there. And this also gave us the people said at the time, the Southern Baptists told us that why you want to put that in the paper and so forth. I said, well, because people need to know and they need to understand that this is a church, and most people are not going to stand for the fact that a church, is being, treated like this just because of the melanin of someone's skin. And as a result, this picture here is 1968, a year later. We had over 25 decisions and 60 worshipers there, and we grew to a number of 250 people there. This is a look at our congregation. As you can see, we look like heaven. This is how heaven's going to be. Every tribe, and nation. And this was a group. It's our vacation Bible school that we had, part of our youth group, and we're melding because it's easy to, as I said up here, it's easy to to bend a tree when it's young, but when it's old, it'll break before it bends. And so we were instrumental in bringing together children in this community so that they would be able to work together and live together. Life at New Life, here's some of the things we have. Of course, our Bible studies. We had camps and baptisms. The lady at the bottom here in blue, we call her Mama Marilyn. She was 80 some years old when we got baptized. We had a camp, a Baptist camp that we went to at Casadero. She was baptized in the river there. This young man over here at the bottom, his dad and I are in the river. His name is Jermaine Burse. Jermaine Burse here at the top, right next to Mike Warnke here, where you see this painting here. Those paintings now hang in the White House. He had Kamala Harris to sign those, and so those are painted by him. But he was baptized in our congregation. Ministry contribution to our community, because like I said, the church, from my point of view, is the center of the community. I was always told that the king comes to the priest to ask if there's a word for the Lord. We don't run to the king runs to us. And so therefore, we became involved in our city when it became a city. It was incorporated South Napa County, and we began to organize. So I was a part of the what they call the incorporation committee. And here's the first, at the bottom here is the first city council persons there. And this is a group over here at the far left. This is the citizens group. We also began to started a program called the Timothy Project, where we would take third graders through high school, and we would take them to Napa Valley College, and we would pair them with a professor. If a child was interested in medicine, or if they were in history or English, we would pair them with a professor at their discipline until they went from elementary school or wherever they were in school all the way through college. We went to UC Davis. In the summertime, we would pair them. We called it a shadow program, where we would have these young people to go to the university and to spend a week there being shadowed by an upperclassman there. So we were involved in helping young people to understand what education was like. And this picture here is a picture of that group. We got involved in the Boy Scouts, and we actually sponsored the Girl Scout and Boy Scout league in our town. The bottom here, we took what was the city's Easter egg hunt, and we had 1,500 boiled eggs that we used, and we began to use that as a way to reach out to the community. And you can see here at the bottom, we had kids that were all over our parking lot, and that's where we started. And we would start infusing ourselves into the community. We also We're involved in the civic organizations like the Lions and the Rotary Club. I was a member of both of the Lion and a Rotary Club. We also was involved in what they call Commit Vallejo, which was a initiative to stop smoking in the state of California. And in 1995, we were able to have legislation that was the non-smoking legislation in California, those workplaces. And we started a group called SMILE, Sexually Molested Individuals Lending Earnest Support. We did that because I had 8 ladies in our church who had been molested as children. And rather than telling them to be warmed and filled and pray about it, we went to seek out and find out what we could do to help, these individuals and more. And we started this group that would be able to help sexual victims of abuse. We went to Whittier, California, and found some ladies down there who had this group, and we brought that to Northern California. And we began to help those victims. So we became also a way to deal with issues that that people would try to stay away from the church with, in a sense. We were part of the Napa Emergency Women's Shelter. I became a state certified domestic violence prevention counselor. I tried to get the other churches to do that because we have violence, domestic violence in our churches, and we just can't turn a blind eye. So we wanted to train our ushers and our deacons and our Sunday school teachers to recognize some of the symptoms, so that they would be able to be able to recognize and to help in doing that. And these were some of the awards that that we were given from the state, the United States Congress, and our local people as well. Again, ministry in our community. You'll see this bus stop over here. In 1986, we had a rainstorm and kids were catching the bus right in front of our church. I asked the highway patrol if we could move the bus stop, because the buses used to stop further than where it is right there, as you see at the left hand. And we went and got some cocoa, and we started making cocoa and serving that. It came to the point that we had actually a full-scale breakfasts, pancakes, eggs, bacon. The community chipped in, and we started serving early morning breakfasts. These are news articles here where you see the kids that are, playing, games. People would bring their TVs, and we would set them up, outside in the breezeway, and they would play. This was our coffee pot we made cocoa in, and we would start serving kids so that on their way to school. And this was another way in which we were breaking down barriers between the church and the community as well. And so this also led to the establishment of the Boys and Girls Club. So our church actually founded the American Kenyan Boys and Girls Club in Napa County. We also started the Relay for Life, and we fought several discrimination things that dealt with the Latino community as well, because we were bridging as a multi-ethnic congregation. We were actually being able to deal with everything and all of the facets of our society. We had a meal here at the top left of about 200 people. We had a fellowship hall that seated about 300. We had 200 people there. One other thing we did, and you'll see this lady sitting in a chair, that was a bus stop. And this elderly lady would stand there even in the rain and try to catch buses. We would go to the city and say, look, we need to get a bus stop or some kind of shelter here. We took one of our pews and set it there. The city came and took the pews away. Then we started bringing our chairs down so she could sit and other people could sit. And so when they didn't listen to us, that picture that you see there, I had the Vallejo Times Herald to put it on the front page of the paper to show that our city was not being representative to its citizens. And of course, you'll see this barrier down, the seat down here. This is what the result. So our church was advocacy. I didn't mind embarrassing the city about how they treated their citizens. Malachi Dads. I started going into San Quentin State Prison in 1986. We started teaching a program there, and we set up actually the first counseling program in state prison in there. And so I was invited to go to Angola, where we found out about the Malachi Dads program. We brought it back and we began to teach these men how to become fathers, because we knew that the prisoner his family was 7 times more likely to follow them in prison. So we wanted to stem the tide. And so I became a chaplain in San Quentin as well. And we started this program to make sure that we could stem the tide of recidivism as well as keep kids out of prison. All of these men that you see in this picture are now out of prison. And they, the one on the left, the top left here, this gentleman right here, he's pastoring a church. This gentleman's in LA pastoring a church. This gentleman here has a ministry in LA. This gentleman here just passed away, but he had a ministry as well. He has a ministry down in Oakland. We now have graduated probably I'd say probably 150 men out of San Quentin who have gone back to their churches, because one of the things that we wanted to do was to make sure that we had churches who would be able to continue their spiritual development when they got out of prison. Because we have churches who come into the prison, as one guy says, they like to come in and hug a thug and make them feel better. But I wanted to make sure that we had churches who would receive these men when they got out, so they could continue their spiritual development, when they got out. We also established a seminary program, the first one in state prison. These 4 men were the first graduates of the Golden Gate Baptist Theological Seminary, and went there and asked them if they would be able to start programs again, because we wanted to make sure that these men had biblical training, so that when they left, they would be able to continue their what they were doing in prison, so that they would have something to fall back on. And these are degrees. These are not certificates. These are degrees from the seminary. And we have now graduated some 150 men. I think at the time this was written, there was like 30 inmates were in that program. We're now up into the hundreds. So, and this is my family, my wife, and my children, my grandchildren, and my great-grand, which is right there in the middle. And I wanted to end this with a tribute to your Aunt Kid, because she just passed away, here a few, I think it was the latter part of, I think it was December, but she was my dad's, love of her life. And so I wanted to have tribute to her, because she and him did a lot. She was an educator. As a matter of fact, she was one of the first women or teachers to integrate the Oklahoma City School District as a counselor. And so I just wanted to, take some time to, to have tribute, to her. And so God wants you and I to live by the faith of our ancestors and to pass it on, so that those who come after us will know and experience this wonderful gift, this marvelous heritage of faith. Faith is, if the spiritual is the spiritual force that sustains life. God has created a legacy of faith for us, and he wants us to honor and our heritage of faith by upholding his legacy. And Jerry wrote that. And of course, Deuteronomy, that we need to teach our children about who God is and how he operates in our life. That is my presentation, and I wish I had more time to share with you, but I'm just grateful that God has given me an opportunity to, to serve. I'm retired. You can call it retired. We have foreign workers. We've started 3 multi-ethnic congregations as well in Southern California, 3 Filipino churches in Southern California. We have where the main work is now in Van Nuys and in can't think of the name of I get old, so I can't think of the name of the church. But I don't, because we have foreign workers, I'm still listed as the senior pastor of our church. But we, like I said, we have 3 churches that we've started, and we continue to do the work. And most of what we do is ministry to our community, because like I said, the church is the spiritual connection to the community. And so my model has always been that we are the ones who dictate what happens in our community rather than the community dictating what we do. Thank you very much. I'm glad to be a part of my family reunion. It's good to see all of you, and God bless you.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Curry. Thank you for your presentation. Thank you for the images. And it is fascinating, completely fascinating to hear all of the different trajectories and faith journeys from our family members all across the board. I mean, this has just been incredible to hear all that's been taking place. Well, this evening, I am not only the moderator, but I am also a part of the panel. And so I am going to simply talk a little bit about myself, what I've done and what God has done through our church here. Again, my name is Pastor Kevin Young, and I'm the pastor of Victory Outreach in Inglewood, California. I've been pastoring this church for over 20 years now. And my focus and calling has primarily been on those hurting individuals in the inner cities of the world. And so I've had the opportunity to house men and women in rehabilitation homes. I've planted churches in Caracas, Venezuela, in Surrey, British Columbia, Canada, and also in Memphis, Tennessee. And right here in our church here in Inglewood, we really want to push our students, our students and our young church members towards education. So we offer a scholarship to college-bound members. And every year we present a scholarship to our young people in the name of my mother, Jamie Kearney Young, continuing that legacy of education. And but I also am the director of the LA Theology program at Los Angeles. We have a Los Angeles based graduate campus for Azusa Pacific University, where we train men and women for the work of the ministry. And I've been privileged to hold the directorship of that program, where I teach ministry, urban and intercultural studies. And just recently, I pioneered the seminary's first Black Studies program for students pursuing a Master's of Divinity degree and a Master's of Arts in Pastoral Studies. So I'm grateful for the spiritual legacy passed down through my grandfather, T.J. Kearney, Ethel Kearney, for their prayers and their dedication to the church, because it's really deeply inspired me. And to hear the stories of our family, it really has inspired me today, and I have been inspired over the years. And in closing, I'd like to just give a shout out to all of the others who are ministers with titles and without, who are not a part of this panel, yet have been very active in God's kingdom work. And I'm talking about spiritual giants like Uncle James and Martha Kearney, whose spiritual influence reaches far beyond their own household, and Uncle Joe Kearney, Aunt Lydia, and so many others whose faith continues to transform the lives of people around them. Thank you for all that you do as well. Blessings to you all.
Thank you. Wow, what phenomenal presentations. It's been just eye-opening to see the story, hear the stories and see the pictures. For those of you who haven't been looking at the chat, there's been some praise happening in the chats, thanking our panelists for sharing their stories. So panelists, if you were talking and you didn't get to see people saying, great job, cousin, and this was wonderful, and thank you for sharing, please take a moment and read through those, because those are accolades we're sending to you, our family, for sharing your insights and helping to kind of uplift our family, and so that we know all the contributions that have been made. At this point in the program, I'm going to turn it over to Margot Green, and she's going to handle our tributes and recognitions.
Good evening, family. I am Margot Green. I am the daughter of Johnny Green, who's also on this call. And my grandmother was Sylvester Green. And Sylvester is the daughter of James Lone Curry. So I am representing that branch, my father and I both. And I have the privilege and honor of sharing with you those family members to whom we really want to pay tribute. So I am going to share my screen so that you can see the actual certificates that have been made up that are part of the program. They're really nice. And I'm going to ask that if you are the recipient, or if you are someone who is accepting on behalf of the recipient, when I go through it, if you would briefly unmute yourself and say something just so that you can be seen, because based on how we're set up, people may not be able to tell that you're on the call. So give me just a second to get my screen share going. And I'm gonna, not too far down. Okay, so our first recipient is Rosetta Rogers, and Rosetta is a descendant of Samuel Curry, and we would like to pay tribute to her for perfect attendance. She has attended all of the Curry family reunions from 1998 through 2021. So we'd like to say congratulations, and we love you, Rosetta. Are you on the call? Okay. If she's not, then I will keep going. Our next tribute is for Esther King, who is a descendant of Carrie Curry King. And we're recognizing Esther for co-founding the Curry family reunion in 1998. Esther's tribute is being accepted by his daughter, Tandaway. I think I saw her on the call. Are you still on, Tandaway?
I am here.
Yay. Does it switch to her, or are you on the phone?
No, I'm on. Well, I clicked to share video on the Zoom call. Y'all can't see.
There you are.
Okay.
Yay.
All right. Wonderful. On behalf of my father, I accept this award. I'm holding that first reunion booklet from 1998. I thank my family. I thank the committee so much for recognizing him and his efforts, and were it not for his voracious desire and curiosity to connect to his family and find out more about the Curry lineage and all of the Currys out there, we probably wouldn't be talking about this today. So thank you again for recognizing him. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Next, we have Leola Hatton, who is a descendant of Samuel Curry, and we are paying tribute to her for perfect attendance also for all of the reunions from 1998 to 2021. And Leola, I thought I saw her on the call earlier too. Are you still there? Okay. She may not be on, but we still are glad to have had her. I know she was on earlier, and we continue with the list. Next, we have Ernestine Davis, who is a descendant of Luther Curry. And she was also one of the co-founders along with Esther back in 1998. And she's certainly the one who pulled me into the fold. So accepting the tribute on her behalf, I realized I was covering this. Alice Holman is accepting on her behalf. Alice is her daughter. And I think I saw Alice on the call earlier.
Yes, I'm right here, Margot. So glad to see you. Thank you so much. And thank you to the reunion committee for acknowledging and appreciating my mother in such a wonderful way. Those of you who had the privilege of knowing her knows how much family meant to her and how important it was for us to get together to celebrate one another. You know, there was I read an article and Sir Isaac Newton was quoted when he was commenting on his remarkable achievements in physics. He says, if I have seen further, it's because I stood on the shoulders of giants. And I think these reunions kind of highlight the giants in our family. I've been so impressed with the ministry panel and with the medical panel, but not just in those areas. We have giants in education, and we have giants in the creative arts. The song and video by Olivia was just awesome. So it's I'm really honored to accept the award for co-founding the Curry Family Reunion on behalf of my mother, Ernestine Davis. I know that she would be just thrilled to receive this honor. And for that, I say to all of you, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay. Next, we are paying tribute to Zaya Lee Mayfield. Zaya is the youngest in attendance today, and I think maybe I saw her on earlier. And I'm sorry, I don't know Zaya's mother's name. Is she still on the call?
Hi, yes. I'm Carla Mayfield, descendant of T.J. Kearney and Ethel Curry. My mother was Jamie Lee Kearney Young, and this is my granddaughter, Zaya Lee Mayfield. And that's all I'm saying. Thank you all. Her mother is, I'm sorry, Ebony Mayfield, my third child. I have 5. Thank you. God bless all.
Thank you. I'm gonna see if I can switch this and make it, no, there we go. So that way you can see the whole thing, and we'll go to the next one. Okay, our next tribute is to Elsie Curry, who is a descendant of Milton King Curry. And we are recognizing him for being the first registrant for our 2020 reunion, which got moved to 2021, and we all know why. Elsie, are you still on the, there you are, I see you.
You do? I'm still here, enjoying myself and seeing all you that I haven't seen in a while. I particularly wanted to mention that when talking about her dad, I remember vividly going on a home visit with him. And that was quite an experience for me, because this is long after people didn't usually do house calls. That told me that Uncle Ulysses really has a shepherd's heart and compassion for people. But I thank you for the award. I thank all of you for being here, and especially those that I haven't seen for a while. Looking forward to see you for the next reunion. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Jean Porche, who is a descendant of Susie Anna Curry Lawson. And we are recognizing her also for perfect attendance at each of the reunions from 1998 to 2021. And I'm not sure if Jean is still on the call. Okay. All right, well, we will still recognize Jean and we'll go to the next one. Next, we have Belinda Gale Baraka, who is also a descendant of Susanna Curry Lawson. She is also being recognized for perfect attendance at the Curry Family Reunion. Belinda, are you on the call? All right, and I think it's fair to note, we've had a great time and it's lengthy, so it's possible some people were on and maybe are perhaps not on at the moment, but we continue with our recognition. Did I just go backwards? Wait a minute. Oh. Elsie, you're up again. This time we are recognizing you for perfect attendance.
Thank you again.
We appreciate you.
I appreciate all of you.
And next we have Dr. Ulysses S. Curry, who is a descendant of Milton King Curry, whom we heard about from his son, and we are recognizing him for being the eldest in attendance for the 2021 reunion. Is Dr. Curry on the call or?
Yes,
There you are. Go ahead.
yes, I'm happy to be here. Happy to be here and appreciate all that transpired today and appreciate nice sayings about all of us. Thank you again for recognizing this occasion.
Thank you, Dr. Curry.
Thank you so very much.
You've had wonderful contributions, and Venice, I apologize. We heard from his daughter, Venice. So again, thank you both for enlightening us with your career and experience. And I know I've really enjoyed seeing all the contributions and learning things that I didn't even know were significant to our family. So thank you. I believe that might be the last one. Oops, nope. How can I forget? We are playing tribute to Jan Kearney King, who is a descendant of Luther Curry. We are also recognizing Jan for perfect attendance at all of the reunions. And I know she's still on the call. Jan, would you like to say something?
Go.
Smart. You know, you say thanks.
I am very, very appreciative of not just being here, but also hearing and enjoying so many talented and community involved activists and speakers, ministers and medical professionals. This has been just one of the best reunions we've ever had, to be honest. It's one of the best. I've enjoyed every minute of it, and thank you again for your participation. So thanks, Margot.
Thank you. And we do have more. Next, we have Artelia Martin, who is also a descendant of Susanna Curry Lawson. We are recognizing her for perfect attendance as well. Artelia, are you on the call? Okay, I will keep going. Artelia is also a co-founding member of the Curry Family Reunion, so we pay tribute to her for that as well. And I don't think Jean was on the call earlier, so we'll recognize Artelia for both being a co-founding member and her attendance. that's all the tributes that I have. Thank you all for your patience as I try and scramble through these. Again, I've truly enjoyed just being able to learn so much more about the family, realize all the contributions that we've had. Looking forward to when we can actually do this again in person. So thank you.
Thank you, Margot. Okay. We are coming to the end of our reunion, and it has been quite an evening. I hope you all have enjoyed it. There's been so much to learn. And if you have questions or didn't get things answered that you wanted to find out more about, I noticed some family members were sharing emails in the chat so they could stay in touch and share information with each other. Please feel free to do that. If you have additional thoughts or questions and you want to send those in, please put that in the chat. We'll pull that information and try to answer any questions that you have. But this has been such a blessing. And as we come to the end, I do want to kind of echo what Margot said. At one point, we had over 85 people logged in to this session. So some people came and went, but I think that that's just a wonderful testament to the dedication. Yeah, I see some applause happening. Wonderful testament to the dedication of the family. And you all have been so patient and kind and loving as we listened to stories and learned and heard beautiful song. And so we couldn't be together in person, but we were together, and this has been wonderful. And so again, as we start to wrap this up, I want to also just thank you all for your patience with me as I manage this. I apologize to people that I just kind of had to mute on the fly or, stop people from sharing screens. You all have been wonderfully patient as we move through this first virtual Kearney Family Reunion. Now I'm going to turn it over to Mayor Harry Brown of Stevens, Arkansas, for our closing remarks. Mayor Brown? Did we lose Mayor Brown? We may have lost Mayor Brown. It is 8:59. So I guess I am going to close this evening's festivities, or if Jan or anyone else has any last minute.
Hello.
Hello. Oh, there. Okay.
I couldn't touch, somehow or another, I kept missing the unmute button rather. I'm sorry for the inconvenience. As you all have already heard, I'm Harry Brown. I'm the youngest child of Homer and Virgie Brown and the grandson of Dora Curry Brown. I've certainly enjoyed this our reunion, this virtual reunion. This is the first one I've ever attended that was virtual, and it was outstanding, to say the least. My hat's off to Jan and the rest of the people that put this together. And I can see now that through the history of our family, how, and I better understand how and why the Curry descendants have become have flourished over the years, and is because of the prayers of our ancestors. I hope that we can won't forget that we can move forward, and I hope that we'll keep praying for each other, and this family will continue to grow and prosper, and that above all we keep faith and keep praying for each other. So with that being said, I know it's been almost 4 hours, and I know people are ready to go and do other things. So with that, happy 4th and God bless.
Thank you. Like the branches of a tree, our lives may grow in different directions, but our roots remain as one. Go in peace and love, family. have a wonderful evening. And hopefully we will all get together the next time in person. Good night, everyone.
Thank you so much. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night, everyone.
Good seeing everyone.
Good night. We love you all from Virginia.
Nice.
Bye, everybody.
Everyone.
Good night and God bless.
Uncle Elsie, Brenda, Jan,
Night,
Fanny.
Good
night,
everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Alice. Good
Good night.
night.
Love you all.
Hey,
Mark,
Babs.
Good
night from New York.
Good night, Mimi.
Good night, Bay Buddy and Baby
Good night,
Sister and Annette and Mikey.
I couldn't get video, so I couldn't see anybody.
Good night, Ken.
Oh, no. I enjoyed it.
Good night, everybody.
Oh, let's see. Good night, Lethargians.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Kenny.
Love you.
Good
This is Lorraine
night.
Peterson
Good
from
night.
New York.
Hi, Lorraine. Oh my
Hi.
God.
Love you, Jan. Hi, Jan. Love you.
I'm just letting them go. I'm saving the chat.
Good night
Good night,
from
everybody.
Renee in Carrollton, Texas. Y'all have a good evening.
Yes, we
Yeah, have a wonderful 4th of July. Goodbye.
Goodbye. God bless everyone. Have a blessed day tomorrow and
Jamie.
every day.
Bye,
My
Mom.
love is with
Glad to
you
see your
all.
face. Goodbye, Dr. Rachel.
Goodbye, Auntie.
Bye, Alice.
Bye-bye. Take care. Both cousin Rachels.
Oh, yeah, I know. I'm like,
Good
which
night,
Dr. Rachel?
everybody. And wishing
I'm
you want to have a
brother
wonderful,
Esau.
safe 4th of July.
You as
God
well.
bless.
All right.
In person
Take
next.
care, Laureen.
Love you.
I love you all too. Love you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Have a wonderful.
Is that our cousin Lauren?
Rachel, I pulled the chat
Sure.
because people had some questions and emails in there and things. So do you want me to send you a copy of that?
Yes, and I'll get it to my mom.
Okay. Because someone asked about the recording, if that was going to be made available too. So I pulled that.
Okay, excellent. Did you record it from your side?
I didn't. I don't know who. I thought you did. It says.
No, I turned on the recording ultimately, but not from the beginning.
Yeah, I think we're going to miss the beginning, but it should still download. Yeah, I didn't record.
Yeah.
So.
But great job.
Oh, thank you. This was great.
This was beautiful, Jan. You did an excellent job. Everybody did. I enjoyed. I hope that I'll be able to make it to the next reunion to meet everyone.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you.
All right. I'm going to log off. Bye, everyone.
Oh, I don't know. I just wanted to make. Okay, I'm logging off.